up, guys? My name is Anthony Anthem, aka Black Fabio, aka the Midnight Marauder, aka the Velveteen, but not the Dream, more like the Nightmare when it comes to my wrestling name. I'm just playing. But here today, we got somebody special. Would you like to state your name?
Sure, this is Kent Allan, aka Dirk Dabbler.
Aka also part of the Journey Pro Wrestling team.
Yes, sir.
Man, how you doing, my dude?
I'm doing good, partner. Doing good. Doing well, I guess I should say. Can't complain. Been staying busy.
Oh, man, I understand, man. Same here. Been out here trying to grind, and I see you've been definitely at work behind the scenes.
Yeah, you see my crazy ass whiteboard over there, and I did have a lot of stuff taped up onto the walls. Luckily, I've got the wall space because I just repainted it not too long ago and been too lazy to redecorate. So
Yeah, right now we're actually in his humble abode, and we are actually just vibing right now. Having some dialogue and everything, and also we wanted to also talk about the scene of Journey Pro. Like last time I had Walter Fulbright, the promoter, but now we got the man behind the scenes, the production crew, and I'm telling you right now, he is good at what he does.
oh, thank you, sir. You're too kind. You're too kind.
Yes, man, I didn't get to tell everybody like the craziness of this event, man. Like I've been waiting to like sit down and talk to you guys because I mean a lot has happened in the last month. Like we've had a lot of different things from the show you guys produced, and then of course WrestleMania weekend was insane. We could just go down the list. Like the G1 Climax happened.
There's a lot to talk about.
I mean, seriously, like
It's an exciting time, my friend. It's an exciting time. Especially for someone like myself who's trying to re-immerse himself in all things wrestling. And, I'm trying to expand my scope beyond the indie scene, which I've been into pretty hard and exclusively for a minute now. I don't know if you and I, have we talked about how I got back into wrestling and like
no, we have not. How did you get onto this? Like I know Walter's story, but I don't know yours. Like we were just kind of shooting the shit the night of the event. That's how we met each other.
Yeah. So about that, like I'm up in the production booth with Gabe Miller, Cohener, and Jack of many trades, in addition to Walter and DJ over at Journey Pro. And at the venue there at Kansas Hall, they've got a nice elevated soundboard booth. That's where we control the smoke and the fans. And it's also where the PC sits that with a nice little mouse and keyboard, you can control all of the lighting in the entire place. And they've got a pretty damn cool, for where it's at and the size of the venue, in my opinion, it's a pretty damn cool little setup.
Yeah, because like the smoke machine you guys had like was crazy good. Like, and just like the quality, like the stage entrance and everything, like everything was just really thought out. I like that. The seating was thought out, and there really wasn't a bad place in the house. Like, it was just amazing.
Yeah. It's a cool venue, and to each his own, and certainly to not knock on anything they got going up there outside of us. But they essentially just do like some regional style talent country shows and some line dancing stuff up there on the weekends, and that's it. So they've got a pretty impressive like sound and AV infrastructure, for what they're doing, and we're more than happy to put it to use for our as a means to our end. You know what I mean? Pun intended.
It's a great venue, though. So, seriously, though, like, I'm talking about, it was a nice setup. They had a nice bar there. I was like,
Great
this
place.
Is probably the nicest independent show I've ever been to. Because I've only been to one other independent show.
Dude, I'm gonna start blushing over here, bro.
Like, I've seen a lot of these independent shows. I'm not going to, like, disrespect no promotion. But usually, it's kind of like, kind of rough looking and all that kind of stuff. Because, it's in a high school gym or something.
Sure.
Or something like that. And that's grassroots right there. So I'm not disrespecting none of the promotions. But that was like a quality venue right there you guys had. Like going on. Like nice ring, nice setup around the ring. It was intimate. but it was just like you could tell like you guys have really put together something that people need to see. Like,
Dude, we appreciate that, and I mean that all goes to Walter and Gabe and DJ. You know, to a large degree, like those are the dudes. Like they're the ones who are making it happen. You know, they're the guys who are, you know, kind of like we were shooting the shit about before we started. You know, there's strategy and tactics, and those guys are strategy and tactics. I'm more of the tactical guy. You know, in reality, I show up like 2 or 3 hours beforehand, and you know, do what we do. And figure out, you know, what needs to be done. And I test the lights, you know, I test the machines. I help Gabe out with the sound tests and the mic tests because he's usually working with talent, you know, staff
right.
on the phone, like, all, you know, in between, like just, you know, maybe not even getting a bathroom break when those guys need it. They're busy. It's a lot going on, and it's just a crazy thing, but very cool, very awesome, you know. And then we also got to, you know, keep these guys and gals from tearing each other's heads off before the show starts. I mean, some of them show up right, you know, before their matches. And, I mean, some of them show up beforehand. And, you know, depending upon what kind of mood they're in or what's going on in their lives, I mean, you never know. So, luckily, we got good security up at Kansas Hall.
That's good.
Yeah, they help us take care of the talent as well as the fans and keep everyone, you know, on the up and up. And they're, you know, once again, you know, props to Kansas again for the security staff and everything. So
yeah, because like, I mean, I can only imagine what it's like to run the promotion or heck be a part of the production. So I mean, all of it just kind of goes together. Like, you want to put on a quality show, you want people to come back, and I mean, you guys are selling tickets like hotcakes. Like, I had to be put on the list just to get in the show because you guys ran out of tickets.
Yeah, that was Rise Above, right?
Yeah, I was at the Rise Above show.
Yeah. And now, did you say that you got to go to the show before that as well?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so yeah, that was your.
I had
first...
saw some stuff on you guys like via Instagram through one of your guys' wrestlers, Marty Bell, and because I'm a fan of hers, because you know I knew about her from Impact and all that in the Mae Young Classic, so. Like, when I saw, like, okay, Journey Pro, because I knew she did NWL when you guys had, when that promotion was still in Kansas City.
Right.
And I was like, okay, we got a local promotion. Let me try reaching out to somebody. And then I got Walter. And then a week later, I'm talking to you. And then here we are now.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's kind of like the timeline of everything that just kind of, like, I guess... In a way, I found Journey Pro and Journey Pro found me.
Yeah, man.
So it just kind of worked out in full circle. I can say that much.
Okay, very cool. Very cool. So yeah, you know, with that in mind, like Anthony was literally like standing right behind the production booth there, and he's a tall enough dude to look over it. That's how packed it was. I mean, that's how literally packed the place was. And
that was one of the best spots in the house.
Yeah. So, you know, I was leaning up against the back of the booth during the middle of the show, middle of the match, if you will, because that's when my duties are, you know, that's when the least amount's required of me, if you will. And I see Anthony there on his phone. He looked up and said, hey, nodded, you know, and we started shooting the shit. And, you know, talked for a few minutes after the show about some entrepreneurial ideas he and I have respectively and collectively. And, he asked me to be on the pod, and here I am.
Yeah, because, like, I remember, like, that show was just so insane, man. I still feel like the craziest bump I saw in that show was Mighty Micah's match.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that, man.
Yeah, the freaking Razor's Edge on the edge of the freaking ring.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, it was just so brutal. I was really concerned about Micah.
That is one of those bumps, thrashings, brutalizations, whatever you want to call it, man, however you want to classify it, that everyone in the whole place just you can hear the teeth clenching, you can feel people see him cringing, man, and he's a tough kid.
I mean, seriously, the fact that he even allowed to take that, he gets nothing but my respect after that one, man. Like, seriously. Cause that, like, he's a pro for doing that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's all those dudes. I mean,
yeah, they all were just.
I'm
amazing.
biased, I'll admit it, but
I forgot which wrestler was he facing that that show.
Well, Christian Rose, AKA the bitter lunatic, was the perpetrator of that move that you just described there, and that you can check out if you've got an IWTV subscription, or if you want to get one, Independent Wrestling TV, formerly Powerbomb TV. Those guys, all of our shows that we've had to date are up there, including Rise Above, the last show that Anthony and I are talking about right now, and that nasty ass.
I just see, like, I guess I'm not the only one who thought about that, like, because I was concerned. Like, I was really concerned. I thought Michael was dead for a hot second.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, he didn't get up for, like, 20 seconds. Like, they had to do the 20 count on him like it was Lucha Libre.
Absolutely. And man, yeah, like, he got up? Question mark? You know what I mean? Like,
right. Like,
yeah. So yeah. I mean, Mighty Mike is he's got the spirit of a warrior, and who knows? Like, I think he proved in that moment there, with all odds against him, and the Grim Reaper standing up over him, staring him down the face, that maybe even he's got the heart of a champion. I mean, he's a young guy. I don't like to count chickens before they hatch, but who knows?
Yeah, he kind of reminds me of a young, Amazing Red. Kind of. He kind of gives me that vibe. Like,
I haven't heard that. I haven't thought about that for years.
Yeah, man. Because, like, I was an Amazing Red fan back when TNA was in, before Impact was TNA. That changed from DNA.
Oh yeah, Spike TV.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, like,
when you could watch MXC 3 or 4 different times a day as well.
Yep. That was like one of those ages right there in wrestling.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So, like, when I saw him, I was just like, he kind of reminds me of Amazing Red a little bit. He kind of has his vibe about him, but he's amazing, and I want to see what else he can do.
Same here. I always enjoy watching him perform and seeing what he's going to do next. And a lot of those younger guys, we've cast a large shadow over some of the younger guys, and I feel like they've come out there, and when they do their thing and they're in the ring and their matchups, they've really risen to the occasion, and yes. They've stepped to the side of it, and they've casted their own shadow, if you will. You know what I mean? And they're carving out their own niches, and they're doing their thing, and I'm proud of them. Really am. So
they are very talented. A lot of these guys are in this promotion, like, it doesn't matter if it's lower card or even the main event. It's been spectacular.
Yeah, and like coming up here next Thursday, folks, on the 9th, man, here's the plug. It's means to an end. Kansas Hall. Doors open around 6:30. 7 p.m. we're going to get started. Hell of a card for this one. Like Anthony just said, I mean, even our undercards are pretty crazy, considering we're just out here in Kansas City and flyover country, like a lot of our friends on the coast like to call it.
Yep.
And as we lovingly have referred to ourselves out here since the internet came our way. So.
Pretty much, like, straight up, like, that's basically what Missouri and Kansas is. You want to call them Missouri? I mean, Missouri.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
Yeah, man, like, let me tell you, this show was, like, incredible. I mean, they had, like, all different wrestling styles, high flying to, like, collegiate style, all the way to brawler. You got all different types of personalities when it comes to these wrestlers, even the MMA style of wrestling. Like,
yeah, Sharky's Sharkbait Gutierrez is like, he's an actual real MMA fighter, as a lot of fans know, but yeah. Real MMA fighter and a professional wrestler. He'll get in a ring or a cage and scrap anybody,
I think he could take out Matt Riddle if he wanted to, just straight up.
Shit, I mean, who knows? I'd pay to see that matchup.
Man, I would straight up pay to see that. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm a bro when it comes to that dude. I like Matt Riddle, but I don't know. I think Duke could take him. I think Gutierrez could actually take him straight up.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be a really good striker, grappler, strength or background, but all around type dude
Yes.
in modern day matchups, if that makes sense. Like one of those kind of matchups, like I don't know who's a good example. Oh well, like maybe like a George St. Pierre, Matt Hughes kind of
I
style
love
matchup.
George St. Pierre and Matt Hughes. Matt Hughes is one of my favorite like UFC fighters. Cause like he's from Iowa, so he's not too far from where we are. And on top of that, I like his wrestling background because I'm a huge fan of wrestlers. So I like the Cormiers, I like the Hughes, I sort of like Brock Lesnar's wrestling style. He's not really my type of guy just because of the fact he's kind of a cocky asshole, but I said it.
Right.
I'm not going to take it back. I don't care.
I'm not going to hold it against you over here on the West 39, my friend. We won't hold it against you. But if he asks, I'm totally cool with him. I'm down with Brock. I mean, if he asks, just tell him we're cool. But
I'll be like, yo, look, Brock. It's like, hey, I don't even know the dude. He's from Vegas. I mean, he lives in Vegas now, but like
he's from Minnesota. I'm pretty sure.
He's originally from Minnesota. But he lives in Vegas now. But I'm just gonna say it like straight up. I had a problem with him being the heavyweight champion, but he wasn't defending the title in WWE.
Sure.
I just feel like, okay, you're doing this part-time gig. It's basically kind of just lowering the quality of the belt itself. Because, you know how the history goes, man.
Watering it down.
And so, I was kind of glad he finally dropped the belt. Seth Rollins, a.k.a. Tyler Black, if people know him from the independent scene. And because I've liked him when he was Tyler Black. And everybody knows that, Seth Rollins had a pretty prominent career in the independent scene before he decided to make the leap towards the mainstream of WWE. And this is the guy that flipped off a big dude. He did a backflip off a big dude and landed one of his signatures. You can't tell me that guy ain't gifted.
Yeah. No, I would never say that. Absolutely. And the dude's arguably just as big of a name. When it comes to real wrestling fans,
Mm-hmm.
So, or bigger, and man, I was just thinking, you were talking about everything that's happened. I don't know why, but that dumbass at the Hall of Fame ceremony.
Oh my gosh!
When the Hitman was up there, just being a regular human being,
and they were just sitting there trying to honor Jim the Anvil. Neidhart, after he had passed and everything, so this was an important moment for him and Natty Neidhart. So for him to disrespect that, I'm not gonna lie, I have no sympathy for that dude whatsoever.
No,
he deserved to get his ass punched by that dude from Precision. Now, what's the name? Actually, what's the name of the group on the wrestling team?
Oh shit,
I forget what's the name of those dudes because I like those guys. They're
here's where my knowledge
I can't remember the name
drops off because I haven't paid attention to the big show, if you will, for a decade or more, man. Really, I can see shit when it comes to across Twitter or whatever, and I have conversations and But man, the older you get, the more responsibilities you have, the more you have going on, less time you have, and so it's all I can do to just keep up with the indie scene, man. And
oh man, I understand. I can't remember the name of these guys, but it's crazy because I like these guys though, because we don't do flips, we just beat ass kind of thing.
Right.
I know that's one of their it's we don't do flips, but we do. We like to break teeth or something like that. These dudes were hardcore in NXT, and. One of the guys actually punched the guy as they were dragging him out, and I was like, you know what, good for him. They need to give him a push for punching that dude.
Yeah.
Now I will tell you this: it was WrestleMania weekend, and I know people get hyped up, but man, you gotta respect these wrestlers, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Regardless of the stage, regardless of the venue, regardless of what's going on, once again, and that's really where I wanted to go with it. We won't spend a whole heck of a lot of time on it because I know many of our predecessors have covered this extensively. But once again, man, you're going to get crushed. It's not going to end well. It's not going to be good. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Simple as that. If a wrestler wants wants to make physical contact of some sort, they'll initiate it, like to give you a high five or to have you, girly slap their chest, thinking you're a tough dude or whatever. But you don't just do it, man. Like,
no,
never.
and that's like my problem. Like, people take it to a whole different level sometimes. It was like, okay, look, it's fun. It's supposed to be awesome. Like, it's nothing wrong with, getting at their goals or something like that, that kind of thing. But you can't be going around, like, disrespecting them and putting your hands on these wrestlers. Like, these are people like you and I just trying to, make some money, take care of their families, and just keep it, like, keep it entertaining for all of us.
Sure.
And
sure.
What that dude did is not my biggest concern is because Bret Hart has had a stroke.
Okay? Yeah, exactly. He's not a 30-year-old dude in the prime of his life from when you hated his character.
You gotta realize all the injury he's had, all that type of stuff, and I felt like when dude did that, I felt like it was just like a disservice, not to us as fans of pro wrestling, but also just like the lineage, the legacy of what Bret Hart is.
Everything, man. Him and everything in the entire history of the sport, really. I mean, it was it's disrespectful shit. It really is, man. And,
I mean, seriously. I mean,
we gotta. I guess though, like. I mean, I don't know. Like they say, you can't fix stupid, but now that everyone's got a screen, everyone sees everything. I hope a lot of people see that. You know what I mean, and learn like from other people's mistakes as opposed to their own. I hope that it's one of those things to where a lot of people who would ever have that kind of personality or whatever, to where they would think about doing something like that, would be like, see that and I don't want to get my face cracked up. I don't want to get my jaw broken by a 300-pound dude who can bench press a freaking Buick.
Oh, by the way, the name of the team is Revival, and that was Dash Wilder that punched him in the face.
Thank
you, Dash Wilder. I appreciate you, sir.
I wonder how his social media follower count surged after that.
I think it actually went up, if I'm correct.
Well, that's what I mean. Like I would think it would go way up. Like, I mean, I didn't really know much about the dude or know of him, but I became a fan that night that I saw that clip.
I'm gonna tell you, his tag team is good.
Yeah.
Like, they're really, really good. I like the fact that they're just kind of like straight brawlers. They go in, like, their finishing move is just like a pancake into a cold breaker.
Okay.
Like, so we're talking about cracking faces and cracking heads.
Yeah, pugilism.
Yes, pretty much.
Yeah,
like,
I dig that kind of style, man. I'm a huge Gary J fan.
Oh, shoot.
Big Jake something and Kurt Stallion fan. Like,
oh man, let's talk about them, man. Like,
oh well, yeah, like the pugilist style, like Bruiser Brody. I mean, we could dip in and out of every league, this and that, different decades. But yeah, like right now, like I agree. Let's talk about these regional dudes who are just.
Yes, we need to, because I'm telling you right now, these dudes are so freaking hot, man. It makes Crisco Grease look like it's just a soft part of your delicate meal. Even though it's 200 degrees and can burn your hand off. No, these dudes are popping. I'm telling you right now, they're popping like fish grease when it comes to their styles, their formats. I'm just like, I'm excited for this. I'm trying to go next week because I love the first event. Like, I think you guys pretty much put me into the Journey Pro Army at this point. So,
we're glad to have you, man, and thank you so much for the compliments. Like, I know that Gabe and Walter and DJ are going to be stoked to hear this, and they're going to be stoked to hear that. Like, that's, the gratification that comes from all the hard work is huge, man. It keeps those guys motivated. It keeps all of us motivated. And yeah, it's organic excitement, man. Like, we're not just shills who are up here. Like, Anthony and I we're just dudes who do our own thing, man. Like, we're hanging out, shooting the shit, talking about this because we actually enjoy it. We have fun doing it. And
I mean, straight up.
I guess, the proof's in the pudding, like they say, because we've sold out our last 2 shows, and we've technically had 3 to date. So this one that's coming up next Thursday, Means to an End, this this is going to be one of those shows that people who went to the first 3 really aren't going to want to miss, because I feel like we're going to bring a lot of things to fruition in this story arc. You better get your ticket now. Yeah. And the thing is like, we could have a lot of tickets 3 weeks or 2 weeks before the day of the show, but that last 10 days, they start going like wildfire, man. So
I mean, seriously, I had to get on the wait list just to get in the show. So that should tell you something right now.
Yeah, and 2 weeks before that, we probably had like 100 tickets left. You know what I mean? So it's a very small window. Like, don't and not sales pitching at all. Like, for real. You know, based on data. Like, yeah.
Yeah, because the ring
don't wait till the last day.
Yeah, because the ringside seats are already sold out, folks.
Yeah, those go quick.
Those are always gone. So get you at least a general admission ticket. I'm telling you right now, you'll still have plenty of way to see, because the ring is right there. Like, shoot, I was cruising by the bar the first part of the show. Like, I had a beer in my hand, and I was watching guys fly in on, like, endless leaps and stuff like that. I was like, oh, I'm kind of glad I didn't sit in the front row, though.
Yeah, sit in the front row and or close to the ring at your own risk.
Yeah, because they're going to be flying.
Yeah, and if you see them flying at you, get out of the way. Just move out the way, and everything will be cool. These guys are pros, and you know, the last thing they want to do is hurt their fans. So, you know, we're playing, you know, to a certain extent we're playing, you know. But wrestlers are always good about watching what they're doing, and, you know, they want to hurt each other, not you guys.
Yeah, so. I've seen some wrestling die bloopers over the last couple days that were just kind of like, oh. Yeah, that was like.
It's a dangerous sport, man. You don't necessarily need an opponent to fuck yourself up.
Oh my gosh, yes. Like, I even saw, like, regular people that have been doing this for decades.
Sure.
Screwing up. Like, I saw Rey Mysterio when he was in Mexico, and he was trying to do the 619. He lost grip of the ropes and flew into the crowd.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, ooh, Rey has done that move, like, 50 million times.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It could happen to anybody.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, Ted Williams struck out, too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the way it is. And,
I mean, we can go down the list of people. Rick Rude.
Oh, yeah, man, yeah. But dude, like, I'm super excited about this whole card, like you were saying you were too, and like I'm weirdly excited, if that makes sense, to see Everett Connors make his way up from wherever he's bivouacking or living or staying now.
Man. Yeah, who's he facing? He's
going up against the Superfly Jay Fowler, the man with the buns of steel. So.
Actually, that dude's actually really cool, too. I actually got to speak with him a couple times.
Oh, cool, man.
Yeah, like, one thing I could say, another thing I like about this promotion, the wrestlers are really kind to their fans.
Good dudes.
Yeah, they're really good dudes. So, yeah, y'all need to follow some of these guys on Instagram. It's the most entertaining thing ever, too.
It's a lot of fun.
Yes. I can't wait to see this match. I can already tell this is going to be definitely one of those matches where you're not going to want to, like, blink at all.
Yeah, so to give the listeners a little background on Connors.
Please do.
Everett is a Hollywood playboy, essentially. He was in, I think he had like a modeling stint, an acting stint here and there. I think he was like working like DJing some clubs and stuff around Hollywood and the Strip and whatnot. And I guess his deal now is like, I don't know who the other dudes in the group are. And they're kind of like super stealth about it, but I guess he's like a boy band, or he's in a boy band, or he's like a one-man boy band, or I don't know what he's doing. Like,
what? Is it sort of like back when what's his name? Shane Helms used to be in that boy band group back at the WCW back in the day.
Oh, I don't know, man. Like, it could be. I don't want to speak out of place, like, because Everett Connors, even though he seems like a pretty nice kid, like, I don't know if he's got a permanent home. So, I mean, he could just say something that he doesn't like. He could just show up, you know. But you know, he's a different dude, man. He's one of those guys that, like, whether you love him or hate him, after you see him wrestle, it's like watching Orange Cassidy wrestle. Like, you're not going to see people with the same or similar style in a lot of ways. And
wow.
Unique dude, unique style. You know, I think him and Superfly Jay Fowler are going to match up well because they both have unique styles. And I think that based on my knowledge and the matches that I've seen of them respectively, I think they're going to match up well because they're both creative dudes. And they can both work kind of a versatile game, if you will. So.
Okay. Yeah,
I think that's going to be an exciting one. It's going to be those ones. It's going to be one of those ones where I think the crowd's going to be quiet, not necessarily because they're not enjoying it, because they're just like, "Whoa, this is crazy shit." These dudes are.
They might flip from American crowd to like Japanese crowd, just kind of observing.
Right,
like
just taking it in, like, what is this? And then like another that we have, man, we got a good tag teamer coming up too, bro.
Oh yeah, who are we looking at right here? Oh man, so we got the Enlightenment. I got to see them last time. And that's with Mike Seidel, or is it Seidel or Seidel?
Seidel, I believe.
I know he's related to. He has a brother, Matt Seidel.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Who was Evan Bourne in WWE, but also major in the independents. Like, if you've never heard of Matt Seidel, then you're missing out. But Mike Seidel, and he's really good too. Definitely different comparisons because they got their own different styles.
Yeah, Mike, known as the Jolly Svengale, I think he was Kenny Karma or Kenny Dharma in the NWL.
Really?
Yeah, he's actually, Mike Seidel was the very first wrestler to come out to the ring in the very first match of the very first episode of NWL.
That's a big deal. That's actually a big deal right there because, like, when it comes down to it, this man, I saw what he could do in the ring last pay-per-view, and to be quite honest, I was very impressed. I was like, dang, man, that family just got good genetics when it comes to this pro wrestling stuff.
Yeah, and like being a badass yogi or whatever you want to call it, who's like got world-class flexibility doesn't hurt either. Like,
I wish I was as flexible as that dude was.
I wish I was half as flexible as Mike Seidel.
Man, I can touch my toes. That's about it.
On a good day, I can, man. But yeah, for real, that is what interested me in continuing to watch the NWL because, like, as you'll learn as we get to know each other better, I'm a big bad guy. I'm a fan of the bad guys. Like, I feel like without the right villains, you can't have any type of good guys or any type of heroes, right?
Oh,
so,
I agree.
I felt like when he came out as Ken Karma, it was cool because I had just actually started doing Bikram yoga, trying to work on getting my core strength and my back strength back, and I was pumped up about it because I had after doing it for a couple of months, going through a lot of pain. I felt better than I had. I felt as good as I did when I was in the prime of my life, physically speaking, and so he came out, and I saw this like yoga dude whip out a mat and like go into all these moves and like winking at the chicks in the crowd, and it's like it's not necessarily a bad guy, but like an ornery, like naughty, like yoga dude. I just really liked his gimmick. I really liked the way he presented it. I really liked the way that he sold it, and I would say that he's a large part of the reason that right there, because first impressions are everything, right?
Oh yeah.
So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna keep watching this. That's a funny freaking character, man. That's
oh yeah, his character's hilarious. And I like the fact that like he's kind of pretentious too.
Right.
Like, his character's super pretentious.
Right. Well, I mean, he lives a healthy life, and he's a super flexible dude, and he's dialed in. His zen's right, and he's got a smile on his face 24/7. So, I mean, not saying that I agree with everything the guy has to say or he does, but it'd be hard to really disagree on a lot of those things, and maybe that's why he's kind of gaining like a contingency. I mean, not kind of, he does have a contingency of fans here in the Kansas City area and in the region, who have caught on and who see it, and they're living cleaner and doing things a little different, getting their flexibility. And
I mean,
maybe his message is coming through. He's not exactly nice about it, but
it's hey. Sometimes you gotta hit people with reality before the positivity takes effect.
True.
I mean, that's the best way to explain that situation right there.
Yeah, it's like, some people like to have their bread buttered, and others just want it served to them, just want to hand it to them, and yeah, I'm with you.
That's pretty much the Midwest in the shell right there.
Oh, you just hit the nail right on the head with one stroke, Mr. Miyagi style there.
Man, straight up, man. Wax on, wax off.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Mike, like Anthony said, he's one half of the Enlightenment, which is a tag team that is him and Luke Langley. Luke's a super cool dude. Like he's becoming a beast in his own right. Like the guy's gotten into killer shape. He's putting on some killer performances regionally here, St. Louis, I believe Iowa too, and he's always exciting to watch. So those guys, they're facing off against a dude who's quickly becoming one of our favorites around the area. And I know Anthony and I have talked about it. You want to say a little bit about him?
Oh, wait, were you talking about Luke or you want me to talk about Aaron?
Oh, I'm talking about Aaron.
Oh, my God, Aaron. That dude. Oh, my gosh. He was in a singles match last time I saw him, okay? So, I'm going to tell you right now, like, Aaron was, like, just surprised. I didn't know what to expect from this guy, okay? The way he was, like, going in the ring was just, like, he was just a stud in the ring, okay? I don't really try to be calling dudes studs because I don't know, that kind of sounds. But, like, at the same time, I'm left at words of how good he was, man. I'm just like.
It's like, I'm almost at a loss for the proper descriptive terms, too, but, like, frenetic and, like, just, like, juggernaut, like, those kind of things come to mind. Like,
beast.
Yeah, the dude doesn't really let up, and in a way, kind of like, you know, the Juggernaut. I know a lot of you out there probably know who I'm talking about. If you don't, ask somebody who's into the comics. But I mean, once he starts to get momentum, he does not lose it. He does not slow down. He only gains it, and you do not stop him.
He's the Juggernaut, bitch.
And so Aaron this time he's going to be tagging up his tag. And I think it actually eclipses a tag team. It's a whole squad of dudes from where they're at, the Death Threat Army. So another Death Threat Army alumni, if you will, by the name of Tommy Vendetta, is going to be coming down with Aaron, and they're going to be tagging against Mike Seidel and Luke Langley.
This will be the first time I see Tommy Vendetta in action, actually.
Yeah.
So I don't know a whole bunch about him, but I want to know, like, what's his style and what's he's gonna do to, like, you know, collaborate with Aaron Orion.
Same here, and I did, you know, same thing. I didn't know much about him. Once I saw the announcement, I checked him out, and then Aaron was kind enough to pop some clipped up YouTube stuff of him and Tommy and the rest of the Death Threat Army's work out there for us, nice and easy on Twitter. So I took a look at some of that, and these guys look like they've worked together for a while, and they're pretty tight. So I think we're going to be in for a hell of a match. You know, I doubt these guys have ever matched up against each other in this format before, but I don't think it's going to matter. I think this is going to be a tight, technical, crazy, wild-ass match.
Oh, there's definitely going to be some bodies thrown around.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Because
yeah, I think the Enlightenment are going to be thankful for their flexibility at certain points.
yeah, they're going to get stretched out. If they're not stretched out before, they're going to get stretched out in this match.
But on the other side of that coin, though, partner, maybe that flexibility is the extra edge that those guys need to avoid the Raging Bull, or to topple the Raging Bull, stop the Juggernaut, if you will, that is Aaron Orion and the Death Threat Army.
Only time will tell.
Absolutely.
I'm just going to be honest. Like, I saw the Enlightenment when they went against the Regal Twins last month. And that was a pretty good match, but them Regal Twins, man, they were just insane.
Yeah.
Shout out to those guys. I know they're with a promotion right now. What's it called?
Oh shoot.
It's like Circus Pro Wrestling or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure you're right on the money there.
I think it's Circus Pro Wrestling, and I think it's also a Midwest promotion as well. I know they're doing that right now, so shout out to them because they are a very talented team.
They're good, man. I'm a big fan of the Royals, Regals. Yeah, those dudes. They got the kicks, they got the flips, they got it all, man. They
definitely got a lot of potential to be like big, like Motor City Machine Guns, or maybe like I would even say like because they remind me of Motor City, but they also remind me of another group, and I would say they remind me kind of like a high-speed version of the Young Bucks. Almost. Yeah, so
there you go.
Like,
there you go.
So those were like two of my favorite tag teams like back in the day. So like seeing that, I want to see what else they can do, and I want to see how their careers evolve. as a tag team. So hopefully I get to see them again because that was an amazing show I saw with them.
We're always excited to see them too, and have them around. Those guys, you know, they did some great work in the NWL along with countless other workers that we've had and will have coming around. And those guys are fun to watch. Like they're, you know, and they're local dudes and just cool cats. You know, it's good to see some younger cats like that. You know, who are, you know, those guys. You know, they're relatively smart dudes who do their thing and could do a lot of other things individually. You know, but they channel their twin power and they come out and put on cool shows for people all over the region and the country too.
Yes,
as far as I know, and they're a lot of fun, man, and they've been building the fan base up, and I'm happy for them. It's always cool to see the old hometown cats do good, right? So,
oh my gosh, yes. So I'm excited to see where their career takes them.
Likewise, I absolutely agree. To see the evolution of their career is going to be awesome. Alongside, you know, all these other cats, like dudes who've been scrapping and banging hard for a long time from Kansas City and St. Louis. You know, like Gary J. And you know, countless other people. And
I agree. I mean, one thing I've noticed, like, I feel like this could be an opportunity for a lot of these wrestlers to really make it big, because I'm seeing the talent that we have here. I mean, heck, look, like, even Baron Corbin from WWE is from this area. And he got
he's
in
like
with
Olathe or something like that, right?
Lenexa, if I'm correct.
Lenexa?
Yeah, he trained in Lenexa or something like that. Golden Gloves boxer, all that kind of stuff. And I know that, like, to see him do it, I was like, dang, then there might be a shot for Kansas City to get back on the map with pro wrestling, because we are a pro wrestling city.
Absolutely.
Historically. And a lot of people don't know that. We have that history. We have that history of pro wrestling, boxing. And then, of course, we got our MMA fighters here. All that kind of stuff. Like, so when it comes down to it, like, Kansas City is a part of wrestling culture. So one thing I love about this promotion is the fact that, like, you can see that Kansas City essence in it. You can feel it. It's got that vibe to it. But it's just like, this is a place I feel like it's going to make a lot of these stars shine. Like, I'm seeing great talent. I mean, we got this Alexander Hammerstone versus Christian Rose.
Oh, yeah, man.
I wonder what Christian Rose is going to do against Hammerstone, because we saw what he did last time, because we just spoke about it.
Yeah, man. I'm with you. Like, I think everyone, you know, the week leading up to a show where they know he's going to be there, whether he's on social media making threats or prognosticating or soapboxing or whatever he's doing. Like, I think a lot of people, that's one of the biggest things, regardless of where he's at on the card or what he's doing or who he's matched up against, like, is what is this madman going to do this time? Like, what's this wacko going to fucking do? And, you know, once again, I mean, just like Brock Lesnar, man, I mean, if he asks, I mean, Christian Rose is a cool dude. I like him. And we're totally cool. We're totally cool, man. But,
yeah.
But you know, I mean, this is a dude who, I mean, he comes in a half hour before the show and wants a drink made at the bar, and the staff's not even there.
Wow.
And, you know, we try to be accommodating, you know, and there's the whole scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, there's quid pro quo, all those things. You know, you try to be accommodating to your people. And,
I mean, so he got a drink in his hand in the promo poster.
Right. And so long story short, you know, I was the only one there. Like, Gabe and Walt, those guys weren't around, and no one really was around to help him. I said, well, you know, the staff will probably be here in a half hour or so. And he looked right at me, and I had never met the man before in my life. He looked right at me, and he says, do you know how to make a Bloody Mary?
So wait a minute, you had to make him a drink?
I went and did it, but I mean, I know how to make a good Bloody Mary. I can make 3 or 4 different variations of it, but man, I had lights to test, I had a soundboard to test, I had mics to track down. You know, I had to make sure that certain people who were already there that he's got beef with were in areas to where we could contain and manage things if he decided to go romping around backstage. You know, so. Oh. So I mean. This is a guy, you know, he's got a lot of history in the indie scene. I mean, I don't know how much you know about him, but he's a storied guy.
Really? I mean, that was my first time seeing him. I'm not going to even sit here in front. Like, so I didn't even know he had this type of history in the indie scene. Like, wow. I mean, so He's as tough as as he seems in the ring.
Yeah, I mean he's got chips plural on shoulders plural, and he's got bones to pick. He's got axes to grind, man. And I don't even really know the ins and outs of all of it. Like I'm just a fan, who's got a skill set that matches up what my buddies who own and run this promotion are doing. I'm up there running lights, having fun, smoking the place out, talking to people, doing the thing. I've had the opportunity to meet people that I didn't think I'd ever get to meet, who are some of my favorite indies. Some of them are legends in the indie scene. Some of these guys have been on TNA,
WWE,
NXT, WWE,
they've been on like big promotions and stuff. Like some have been to New Japan.
And I'm a grown ass man, and I get giddy as a child when I see some of these guys, come in, and
like I was giddy when I saw Joey Ryan.
Same here, man.
I was like, man, you did awesome, and he like shook my hand, and I was like, man, Joey's actually really, really nice.
yeah, and I mean, hey, it's the way it goes, Different people come from different walks of life, different backgrounds, as you well know, and all that. Mm-hmm. And some people, most people have it the way that everyone has it, and that's the universe is a cold, hard, neutral bitch, and you get up every day and you grind against it so it doesn't grind you down.
True statement.
And
man.
Not everybody has the same kind of support system or the same kind of lifestyle or the same kind of background or whatnot. So I never try to cast judgment on any of these guys or gals or anyone who's not in the ring or a part of wrestling. You just never know. So I made the Bloody Mary, man. And you know what? You know what? Like, he was pretty cool about it, man. Like, I mean, he's a big dude. He's a tough guy. And like I said, he's obviously got a lot of anger and a lot of stress. And I don't want to be the dude who
throws him over the edge.
The spark in his powder keg, if you will. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't blame him.
So I went back and I made it and I handed it to him. And he had a smile on his face, and I could tell he was happy. And he said, "Let me give you a tip." And I was thinking, like, man, this dude's seriously like not gonna try and give me a tip for this. And so he doesn't reach into his wallet. He doesn't reach anything. He says, "Here it is." He says, "The tip is tell the bar staff to be here at so and so time when I'm on the card."
Well. And that is Christian Rose, ladies and gentlemen.
that's the bitter lunatic in a nutshell, folks. And he's going up against Alexander Hammerstone, who, if I'm not mistaken, rolls with that dastardly little cretin MJF, doesn't he?
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's an MJF posse dude.
Oh, great. So this match is gonna be a hot mess with these personalities clashing. So you're gonna be in for a dick measuring contest. Beyond belief. Who's going to be the bigger badass in this match? We're basically about to see just a straight up brawl, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, these guys, we got two different kinds of evil, two different kinds of lunacy, two different kinds of mania, two different brands or flavors, if you will, going up against each other. And
somebody's teeth are going to get knocked out.
Yeah, like, I mean, we've seen what Rose can do, and as far as I can tell, he's just taking the piss so far, like the British say. Like, he hasn't even gotten started as far as I'm concerned. Like, he's out testing waters and having fun. Like,
yeah, because I'm telling you right now, man, that dude scared the shit out of me with some of the shit he did to Micah.
Yeah, dude. That was like older brother catching younger brother stealing his favorite pair of shoes type of beating or something, man. That was like, you've owed me money and I haven't been able to find you for 6 months type of beating.
Oh, so basically this is like a neighborhood drug deal gone wrong, and the local crackhead gets beat up by 7 guys.
Oh man!
And that's no disrespect to Mighty Micah at all, because that dude fought his ass off. Okay.
Oh yeah,
he fought his ass off. He almost won.
Yeah. He's a talented, tough, spirited competitor, But I think what gives a guy like Rose his edge outside of his experience and his age over a guy like Micah is that those multiple chips on the shoulders of that lunatic, man. I mean,
he's definitely somebody that you got to be cautious with, because
he's a live wire.
He is a live wire. I mean, you just don't know what he's gonna do. Like in the ring, outside the ring, behind the stage, on the bar, around the world. the tilt-a-whirl.
I mean, he's like one of those dudes. Like a lot of like regular old folks may not really know or have anyone like this in their group of friends or family, but everyone's seen movies, especially if you like action movies and counterculture type stuff. There's always that character out there. They show up in war films and stuff like that a lot, where you never know what's going to set them off. Like, and there's been like a lot of classic like family kind of comedies who have inserted like dad or grandpa characters like that.
Oh yeah.
To where it's like you could like do something that you think would end the world for them, and they'd laugh maniacally about it, and then you slightly step out of place or do something like really insignificant that you think no one in the world would care about, and they explode.
It reminds me of this brand called Vet TV or something like that. It's like twisted humor for veterans, and we talking like stuff where like guys would get blown up and it's a comedy joke.
Oh man,
like yeah, that's some dark shit. Like I actually was observing some of the show that I saw on the Netflix special, and it's fucked up, bro.
Man,
it was funny, but it was fucked up. I'm not gonna sit here and lie.
Yeah, it's
like it was some cringe.
Don't get me wrong, I like dark humor, but man, I guess everyone draws a line somewhere. But
shit, not with them. Shoot,
man. So yeah, like
yeah. So
it's gonna be on. Those are just 3 of the matches. That's a little bit of the undercard for you there. We're famous for having scrambles that we don't necessarily announce the whole card. Maybe.
I can't wait for the scramble. The last one was that was just. I just like I had to figure out which way to look. Right. I had to move around during the scramble because
we had a lot of talent in there, man.
I mean, there was like what was it like 6 guys, 8 guys in there or something like that. There was like a lot of guys.
Yeah, so like a lot of those guys, and I know a lot of people listening may or may not know this, but I think it's worth pointing out that a lot of those guys, even though some of them are younger and less experienced, they're all talented and they all know what they're doing. And just because they're on the undercard or their exhibition or they're scrambling before the show officially starts, if you will, however you want to put it, these guys are like the top dudes at some of the smaller regional showcases. Yes. And as you well know, but I want the listeners to know that too, like these aren't just cats who are like the younger cousins and brothers of the dudes who came into town to wrestle. Like these are dudes who they got their own gear, they got their own gimmicks. They've been working at it for 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5 years. A lot of them are trained by in the stables, if you will, of some of these guys who are on the upper card, the undercard, guys who wrestle in, like we talked about, the NXT or have wrestled in NXT, WWE. So these are legit dudes, and they just keep getting better, and they just keep getting better. And we had a ton of talent packed in there for that last scramble, man. Who'd we have? We had Micah. We had Kenny Alfonso, who I always enjoy watching.
Yes. There was like, I mean, the whole scramble was just insane.
We had Dallas Cade in there. He's a big boy. He's a good sized dude.
Yes. Gutierrez is in there as well.
Sharkbait was in there, and we had Karam in there too. New face for the region.
I'm gonna say right now, like all those guys, like really went at it. Like I'm talking about, it was nonstop the whole time. If it wasn't action in the ring, there was action outside the ring. Like they were just hitting spots all over the place, and God, I like bodies were everywhere. Like that's how crazy this was, man. It's like I enjoy that type of match. Actually, to be honest, that's actually one of my favorite styles. It's one that's like multiple people. They're sitting there trying to hit their shots. They're trying to hit their moves and all that, and it can be complete chaos. You're seeing somebody get super kicked over here. You got another person getting body slammed over there. Like, I was like, you couldn't tell who was gonna win that match. Like, it was just like, oh, okay, he won by knockout.
Yeah,
like somebody got knocked out. Okay, that was actually how it ended.
Yeah. Like I was always always have been, always will be a big fan of the 10-man Rumble format.
Oh yeah.
Not too many to muddy the waters so much that you don't know what to look at, but just enough to where you got 3 to 5 really good matches going on simultaneously the whole time. Well, the first 10, 15 minutes or so.
Right.
But then after the eliminations, you just focus on the dudes who are still in there, and it's a real I think it's a real cool, fluid format,
Yeah.
Really dig it. Like, if you've got the space and you got the ring and you got the audience, you got the crowd, like the right event, 20 man's cool. But man, that 10-man rumble, I think you can pull that off in a wide range of venues and footprints for like ring setups and all that. And it kind of like those 6-man scrambles we've been doing kind of evoke a little bit of that for me. You know, I was a huge fan of that format as a kid.
That's been my thing. Like, I've always loved it myself. It's like you get to see different styles. Like captivating as you can get somebody with a strong style. You can get somebody in there that's a brawler. You get somebody that's a high flyer. You can get somebody that's a mixture of all those things. Like, you're basically gonna get everything on the plate, because that's what I saw right there. It was like everything on the plate that I wanted to see. I mean,
and when you bring that, like, to expound on what you're saying, like, bless you, when you bring that in, that kind of diversity of talent and styles and backgrounds, the coolest thing is when those dudes realize what kind of dynamicy they can have between each other, the dynamics they can work out. Oh man, like you get a champion power lifter throwing a flyer around. Oh dude, I mean,
that's just another weapon for them.
Exactly. So yeah, and you know, our minds can take us to all the other possibilities, and you know, remember the fond real life examples of that we've seen over the years. So yeah, like, I'm with you 150%, man. Love it. Love the scramble. And
oh my gosh, yeah. I am gonna say, like, I say scrambles and tournaments are like my favorite thing to watch when it comes to pro wrestling, because I've always been a fan of just like the pageantry. You don't know who's gonna win, what's gonna happen, like all of it. Like, and since we've been talking about the like previous event, one of the things that I also want to talk about was the Jeremy Wyatt and Hollow Wicked match.
Oh man,
because I'm a fan of Chikara, so
yeah,
to see a Chikara legend like Hollow Wicked in this like pure wrestling style of wrestling against Jeremy Wyatt, who, I'm not gonna lie, he gained a fan in me because I like his style. I like the fact that he was talking shit. Like, he definitely deserves to be the champ.
He's the total package, man. He really is. Like,
I mean, that was like some classic style wrestling right there.
And I mean, Wyatt, for as dastardly and evil as he can be, like, he's got fans.
Oh yeah,
and that's not just because he's the champ. I mean, that's a part of it. But like,
he's got fans, and he got a fan in me after that match. Like,
yeah, I mean, he's kind of an anomaly in a lot of ways. You
don't know what you're gonna expect from him. Like, his style is just so vague. Like, I was impressed with what he can do. Like,
he's like one of those dudes who can like watch something a couple of times, practice it once, and then pull it off. Like, he's real. Like, I know there's probably a smart guy word for it that I'm fumbling around to find right now, but like, that's what he does, man. Like, that dude, he can pull out so many different styles. Like,
he's gifted.
Yeah, he really is. And in my opinion, he's a great champion. You know, like, I agree. Like, I mean, he's not the kind of guy, like, in real life that I would, like, you know, look up to or think he's a good guy or whatever. I know he's not a good guy, but he's a good champion. He's a hell of a performer.
I will say this. Like, I would love to see how he does for, like, you know, international promotions and stuff. Like,
yeah.
I would love to see what he could do in Japan, Mexico, the UK.
Did you, not to completely change the subject on you, but to that extent, like, he didn't travel far, but he went to St. Louis and he wrestled John Gresham. Have you seen that match?
No, I haven't.
That's one of the best wrestling matches I've seen in my life, probably.
Really?
Like, a matchup of that style with those kind of guys, absolutely. Technical, like, showcase.
I like the technical wrestling because I was like a Dean Malenko, Dean Malenko, Chris Benoit.
Oh, my brother and I, like, those two, they were it, man. Like, that's who you aspired to be. Like, yeah.
Oh, I can't forget William Regal as well. So
there you go.
He's got to be up in that list.
Like we talked about before, man. My brother and I, we were big Harlem Heat fans.
Yes.
Oh man, yeah. Like, you know, we were kids. We were both born in the early '80s, so you know, we were big Bret Hart fans, of course. And the Anvil, love the British Bulldogs, man. Like,
R.I.P.
I mean, yep. So yeah, like, absolutely, man.
I mean, shoot, Owen Hart. I mean, shoot, we can go down the list of just like great wrestlers. I was the
legacy of the Hart family.
Legacy of the Hart family. I mean, even though they don't have the Hart Dungeon no more, like,
right.
everybody knew about the hard dungeon at one time. It's like you heard the word hard dungeon, like you knew that like whoever was like a graduate of that school went through some hard training. Like let's see, Mark Henry, Chris Jericho.
I always forget about Mark Henry.
Yeah, Mark Henry was part of the, yeah.
Just love Mark Henry. Like he's a great wrestler, great human being. Like,
and he's just like, I loved when he came up with the Hall of Pain.
yeah.
That was actually one of my favorite Mark Henry games.
And the man's got a great sense of humor on top of all that too. Like,
yes, like
he's a cool dude. He's a cool dude for sure.
And he has some good matches with Kane. Like,
yeah, man. Like those boys, they brought it against each other. Like,
yes.
not to say they didn't bring it against everyone else, but like they were able to really unharness themselves because the other guy could take the full brunt of it. And I don't know if there was anyone else that the other guy could respectively match up against where you could say that.
You ain't gonna put Rey Mysterio against Mark Henry.
Oh, fuck no.
I think that's gonna be an even match.
No. But you know what I mean, like bigger men. Like
yeah.
I think those two, like that was kind of one of those. That was a matchup at Titans that I think any other matchup kind of paled to in that time. You know, in that era. I mean, you know, you throw Andre in there, cool. You know, you throw
Big Show,
Vader, you know, or somebody.
Yeah, Vader. Now that's one of my favorite big men.
One of my favorites of all time.
Cause like, I mean, come on, that dude was like what, 450 pounds?
Big boy. Yeah, I mean,
he does a moonsault.
Yeah, second rope. I actually figured out. I don't know if you follow his son on social media or not, but his son's has just written a biography about him that was essentially a completion of an autobiography that Vader was working on.
Rest in peace, Vader, because that was the man right there. Like,
yeah, and so like I've been kind of watching some of the stuff his son's been putting out, you know, little excerpts and little snippets about the book and about the stories and the people who helped him write it and who are involved, and one of the coolest ones that stands out to me is he bought a trampoline for his son, the one who's writing the book and who's on tour with it. And
wow.
And his son tells this story about how essentially Vader was on the trampoline and he got, I don't know if he got double bounced or what, but he caught a good bounce and he cut a backflip. And he's like, he looked at his son, he's like, I think I could cut a backflip off the second rope, no problem, after doing that. And so the very next time he went in to train, he started practicing that, and that's that.
Wow.
So if he wouldn't have had this kid or bought that trampoline for his son, we may have never seen that, man.
Yeah, because, I mean, that is an amazing feat because people don't realize, like, this guy was no cruiserweight, and he's sitting there doing, like, let me put it like this, like, that guy was a threat in Japan. He was a threat in WWE, even that small stint he did in WCW. But the fact that he would pull that move off at 400 and something pounds, like, it impressed people. That's why he's such a legend, is because of the fact he was doing things that people didn't think he could do.
Yeah, defied people's expectations of him.
And gravity.
Yeah,
and gravity.
Physics in general, yeah.
If I could be a wrestler, I would want to be like that. Just like a shocker. You wouldn't expect him to do, like, I think some of my favorite Vader matches are actually Japanese matches.
Oh, yeah.
And he was a dominant force for a very, very, very long time.
It's amazing, like, how an unlikely foreigner, a Gaijin, if you will, like Vader, the level of respect and, like, fandom that he achieved in Japan. Like, I mean, people over there still think of him, like, they put him up there with, like, joking, of course, but, like, Miyamoto Musashi.
Yes.
Like, I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
yes, man.
That's insane. He's an outsider, so very cool, man. Like, speaks volumes to what passion for a like-mindedness and what a common interest can do to just completely smash, age-old stereotypes and social taboos, cultural taboos, you know.
I mean, I'm just gonna, like, keep it real. I can't remember the guy's name, but he was like one of the only dudes that actually beat Vader and actually slam him. And I can't think of the dude's name. I was actually trying to look him up real quick. And I remember they were having a good match. Vader was actually, like, leading in on the match or whatever. It looked like Vader was going to take this one. And then all of a sudden, do his signature, and his signature was the Exploder. And he actually nailed it on him.
What was the Exploder?
Basically, okay, so you seen Becky Lynch?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically overhead belly to belly.
Okay. Okay.
So basically it's like a hook belly to belly, and he actually threw Vader over his head
Yeah.
with the exploder.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my god, he hit him with the pump belly to belly. That's crazy as all get here.
Yeah. A dude that size.
Yeah, dude was only like 5 foot something.
Yeah.
Like,
The thing about Vader was like, yeah, exactly, dude. You're reading my mind. Like yeah, right on the same page there, because I was just getting ready to say, like, a dude like Vader, he wasn't a giant. He was just as wide as he was tall, and was just solid. Like, he was just a solid, thick, wide-framed cannonball kind of dude. Like,
yes.
built like the boulder that chased Indiana Jones's ass out of that cave.
I mean, like, this man was like that wrecking ball that you do not, like, you don't underestimate. Like, I've only seen like a few people beat him in my lifetime just in America.
Right.
And even then, they had a tough time.
Yeah.
They really had a tough time. Like, it was like, oh, he's going to get Vader. Oh, it's going to be a long match.
Yeah, dude. Oh, absolutely.
It's time.
I was thinking, like, what? So you know, what about like future Journey Pro show? You know, like, not necessarily anything that's set or that we're gonna announce, but like down the road. You know, generally speaking, like, is there anyone from the Indies that you would like to see? And for the listeners too, if you want to hit us on social media in the comments after this and let us know who you want to see. If there's anyone you think that we need to get in there that we've missed or that we may not be considering, please let us know. Like, hit us up. Like, this is going to be on Twitter. I'm Dirk Dabbler TV on Twitter. DIRK DABBLER TV.
Man.
And if y'all are listening, you know Anthony's, you got his set up. So if you see a convo about this or whatever, just pop in there. You don't have to give us any context. Say, hey, you know, I want to go to Journey Pro and I want to see these guys or these girls wrestle. Simple as that. So I'm asking you, Anthony, like, what are you thinking, my friend? Like, what if you could name 1, 2, or 3, you know, like, some indie cats or kittens that you really like and you would like to see us perhaps bring in?
Dude, I would have a long list. So, I mean, we were talking about Pentagon Jr. earlier.
Yes, we were.
That's one man I would love to see live because I loved him in Lucha Underground. And Phoenix and when they do their tag team, the Lucha Bros.
Yeah.
That's like one of my favorite tag teams right now. Like,
well, you're in good company with that one. I think that's one that yeah, like Walter, Ben, like DJ, you, me,
yes.
McGee, and everyone in the whole town. Like, I think we're all there. Absolutely.
Just one match. That would just do it for me. Like,
oh man, that would be so.
If I could even just see a 5-minute match with those guys, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I'll be straight up. Like, Young Bucks, I would love to see those guys live.
That would be cool.
I mean, right now, I've been, like, highly into the tag teams because I'm, like, excited to see that the tag team, like, style is really coming back, like, up to par.
Same here.
So, that's definitely, like, 2 I could think of off the top of my head. But if I want to say singles wrestlers, I know he is doing AEW, but I want to see him, and I don't know how expensive he's gotten over the years. I would love to see Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
Kenny Omega, Cody Rhodes. I like to see those guys.
I have a feeling we're probably going to have to dip out to Vegas to catch those cats, but man, how great would that be to have those guys come through? Like,
man, I'm telling you.
Super cool.
Yeah, because I know, like, the guy who's the owner of it, I know he, like, owns, like, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he owns, like, the Jacksonville Jaguars or something like that, and I actually saw a small interview with him, like, last week, and he just kind of explained, like, you know, like, Chris Jericho's, like, kind of the one that's kind of running things behind the scenes. He's been the one that's actually able to gather all the wrestlers for this event because, I mean, you know, Chris Jericho's been doing it for forever since he was Lionheart.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so, I mean, this is his, like, niche. Like, he knows people in music. He knows people. He knows how to get. He's
got entertainment locked.
He's got entertainment locked. So he'd be like, oh, I can get this. I can get this. I know this guy. I know pretty much every industry. I mean, sure, it's gotten to the point where Chris is banned from coming back to WWE right now.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that like he's about to put on an event that's about to rival them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and it's in Vegas at the MGM Grand.
Yeah.
That's a pretty freaking big deal.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen a good match at the MGM Grand since WCW. That was the last time I saw something like broadcasted like that. And
I can't even.
That was like early
remember.
2000s was the last time they did it.
Yeah.
That was like 99, 2000. That was when they were still doing like high profile events and stuff like that before like, you know, they got defunct in like 2001. I remember they used to have like crazy like elements of events. I remember when they did the what was the event they used to do at Sturgis?
Oh, I can't think of the name.
Road Wild or something like that?
Yeah, yeah.
They used to do the event at Sturgis. They used to do like events in Hollywood and Vegas and all that type of stuff. Like,
it was a wild time in that regard. Like they were really, they were really top heavy with their talent, which can be said, in a lot of cases in the history of it. But like, they were really just going all out with like the visual stuff and the pyro and the digital and like.
Yes.
Really going for showmanship, which was cool. It was an evolution of that stuff, and it was awesome.
I agree, but
and for a minute there, like they were the hottest thing ever in the history
they were
of
beating
everything.
WWE for a long time.
Like they,
their biggest mistake was when they decided to make the title pretty much irrelevant, the heavyweight title, because they were doing too many switches. It was like going back and forth, and then. There was also the David Arquette situation.
Yeah.
Like, when they made David Arquette the champion, basically that destroyed the credibility of that title.
Yeah.
Like, it just destroyed. That's where the company just started going downhill. Like, they didn't have title reigns lasting no more than a week or maybe even just one night.
Right.
I remember when Legs...
You can't build any kind of an ongoing story to keep a TV audience engaged like that. Like,
no, you can't. Like,
you can try, but you'll, in my opinion, you'll fail miserably, and I think we've seen some examples of it. And
yeah,
I'm with you.
For instance, like Hulk Hogan had that title. I don't know how many times.
Oh,
like too many.
Yeah.
It was like Ric Flair, who did it gradually. Like he'll have a title reign here, he'll have a title reign there.
Yeah, there's really something to be said. I mean, there's a lot of things to be said for the way that Dusty and Nature Boy and those guys did things back in the day. Like, but the way that they did that specifically between Dream and Nature Boy was damn near spot on. And who knows if it was by design or sheer dumb luck, just the way they were trying it and it was working. Probably a little bit of both.
Yeah, I mean,
but those guys were good. They did good, and I thought WWF or EUF at the time. I thought that they did pretty well in that regard with Hogan and Macho Man with Miss Elizabeth. Then after that, it's like they tried to fix a wheel that wasn't broken,
and then like it just changed for a while. Like they had pretty much a dark age at one point.
Oh, absolutely.
It was a pretty bad dark age. Like, they were losing.
They had WCW eating their damn lunch for them for a few years there, too.
I mean, that Monday Night War was just ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
Because I was wishing in between both, but, like, I felt like I had more interest at the time at WCW just because of the fact, one thing that was kicking WWE's ass, or, WWF at the time, was the Cruiserweight division was destroying them.
Absolutely.
Like
one of my personal faves too, and I know like you and Walter both are fans of the Cruiserweight division too. And
they were crushing them just for the Cruiserweight division. That would be like the first part of the card, like every Monday night, and they were just killing them.
Oh yeah.
It was to the point WWE was getting so desperate they got a light heavyweight title.
Yep.
And I remember like Taka Michinoku was the first light heavyweight champion. And don't get me wrong, I love Taka Michinoku. That's actually one of my favorite Japanese wrestlers. Like, straight up, like, I'm still a fan of his. He's still kicking ass. Taka Michinoku, motherfucker. That's actually how his shit starts too.
Oh man. So I'm trying to think like on the topic of like people that we'd like to see come around for the Journey Pro. I think someone that we've had before that I think you would really enjoy, and I don't know if you're a fan of his or not, is Kevin Koo.
Kevin Koo.
Ku. Kevin, and then his last name is Koo. Ku. I think he's a Nashville dude. He's really exciting and entertaining to watch.
What's his finisher?
Oh shit, I couldn't tell you. I just became a fan of his last fall, and I don't know his routine that intimately, if you will, but very exciting dude to watch.
That name sounds so familiar.
He's kind of got, in the sense of his energy and his movement and his pace, he's a lot like Aaron O'Ryan. Not as big a fella, but every bit as wily and agile or more. And
let's see, where's Kevin Koo from? Okay.
I know I'm almost certain he wrestles out of Nashville, but I don't know where he's from originally.
Oh, wait a minute. He's an Asian dude?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I know, and he was trained by Brian Fury. Okay.
He's someone to watch, like in my opinion. I really. I think I've
heard his name throughout the throughout, because like I've heard cause I was watching some of these independent shows like on YouTube or whatever, and his name got mentioned a couple times in the last couple weeks, and I'm like, who is this Kevin Koo dude?
Yeah.
So I might need to go check him out. I'm gonna sit down and look at this Kevin Koo guy and see what he's got, because I like to see new talent, and maybe he's not new to you, but at the same time he may be new for me. But I like to see what's going on in the works, because there's a lot of people that I'm excited to see evolve in this. I mean, I've been watching wrestling since like maybe 95, 96, and one of the first matches I ever seen in my lifetime was Eddie Guerrero, and I think he was against some jobber, and I said this in a previous podcast. And that same day, I also saw Conan and Rey Mysterio wrestling. So
yeah, if you're not sold after that, there's something wrong with you, in my opinion.
Like seriously, like those were the first wrestlers I had ever seen. Like so, wrestling has been my thing since I can remember. Like I say this at almost 30 years old. Like I don't think I'm ever gonna stop being a wrestling fan. Hey, at one point, I wanted to be a wrestler, straight up.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think every kid, who's ever been a fan, man, that's at some point along the way they're like, oh, that's what I want to do. Like,
straight up.
It's tough and it's grueling. Like, I don't know personally, but I know a lot of people who've done it or do it, and there's a lot of road stories that just make you think like, oh shit, these guys. I mean, for real, they're out there, they're putting it on the line, in the ring, outside the ring, but also like, I mean, these guys and girls, they're running hard schedules, and like they're driving fast to a lot of places and flying and traveling. Even though we're trying, as a society to make it safer and with technology and everything, it's dangerous, And
I mean, yeah, like,
they put a lot on, and they said, they're gone a lot, man. They sacrifice a ton of time away from family and friends, and
yes, they do.
So that's one of the many reasons that they really enjoy, getting pumped up by the fans, getting told, getting compliments from the fans, getting cheered if they're good, getting booed if they're not, like that stuff matters to them.
Because fans will tell you, like straight up, they will know you botch a move. They'll know if you half-ass something.
Oh, and especially at an indie show, 18 and up, like where there's no like kids who just enjoy everything they see. Like, these are all like fans who are critical, like hypercritical.
Like, you fucked up. Yeah. Like, they will seriously like ream you if you're not like on your game.
Yep.
Like, you can't go in there like ring rusted out because you had too many drinks and stuff like that the night before. You gotta be prepared at all times.
Yeah, I mean, it's no joke. It really is. And so, yeah, like, come check it out. Kansas Hall. It's in Overland Park, Kansas. Thursday, May 9th, 7 p.m. You can start coming in around 6:30. We'll open the doors.
I mean, what are you doing right now? Go get your ticket.
Yeah, you can go to journeyprokc.com. journeyprokc.com, and we're all set up to sell tickets on there, so you can do it electronically. You can wait until the day of the show. We don't recommend it. Like I said, there could be 100 or more tickets right now, or a couple days ago, or whatever the case is, and the day before the show, those are going to be gone. So,
Dude,
do what you can, do what you will.
Get it on
Come
the
check
floor.
us out.
Seriously, get on it. Like, these tickets go like hotcakes, especially the week of the event. It went from like 100 and some tickets all the way down to 4. And those were gone the day of.
And these cards keep getting better. We keep raising the bar with talent, and we just keep telling a deeper, crazier, wilder, more interesting story. So, if you want to get caught up before, check out IWTV, Independent Wrestling TV. We're on there along with our friends down in St. Louis Anarchy and some of the other independent promotions.
There is a wrestler I want to see too. ACH.
Yeah, dude.
I would love to see ACH or
Good
Moose.
call.
Like, I would like to see those guys.
I'd like to see ACH. I'd like to see Gresham.
Gresham would be awesome. I would love to see, Will Ospreay.
Yeah, Ospreay would be cool. If he comes back stateside, I'd like to see Sugar Dunkerton.
Sugar Dunkerton would be dope. I want to see J Cobb.
Yeah.
I want to see Cobb.
Yeah.
I would love to see him. Trying to think who else is like really coming up in the game right now, if I could say. I know dude that was kill shot in Lucha Underground. I know he got signed recently.
Okay, good for him.
Yeah, he got signed recently to the NXT.
I really like his work in Lucha Underground.
Yeah, I know they actually he actually is working on masks now. Like cornrows and stuff like that. I can't remember where they're calling him on NXT, but I know he recently just got signed last week or something like that.
Nice, man. Very good. Yeah, he's a talented guy. I enjoyed his work in Lucha Underground quite a bit.
Yeah, man.
There's really not a whole lot of anyone that I didn't enjoy in Lucha.
I wonder what happened to Mil Muerte where he's at. Because, I liked him. I liked this character. This character was like the masked Undertaker times 20.
I was just leading us up into that, man. I'm actually friends with him on Twitter.
Mil Muerte?
Yeah. Super cool dude. That's just the way he is. He's an elusive guy, man. I mean, he's probably mostly human being. I mean, he's got some human being to him, but he's got a dark side too. And I think he just skirts from the shadows, does his thing, keeps to himself. But I'd love to be able to have the opportunity for him to have the availability, or maybe a swinging through type of thing, and shows going on. Would love to have him come on. So,
oh my gosh, you would probably have
to have him and Penta and Penta Jr. on the same show. Oh,
dude. And then on top of that, Mil Muerte reminds me of like a real life Bane.
Yeah, exactly, man, exactly.
He reminds me of like Bane from Batman.
We have the same brain in so many ways.
Man, right? It's just like it's almost like the Wonder Twins. Huh? You need to take a break? Yeah. All right, so we're going to take a break, guys. This has been a wholesome experience, but we need to go breathe for a hot second. We'll be back soon after these messages. Actually, there's no messages, but we'll be back soon. As soon as I can push the button. Hey, what's up, guys? We're back. Thank you very much for waiting patiently. Actually, you didn't wait at all. I probably just clicked into the next part of this segment or whatever. So, Kent, I gotta say this, man. Thank you very much for inviting me to this humble abode.
My pleasure.
It's actually been a very chill setting. Enjoying myself. The cats are awesome here. It's like he's got like a miniature lion in this house. Yeah, man. So, as we move on, man, what else you got on your mind, brother?
Oh, I don't know, man. We always have so much different cool stuff to talk about. It's not hard. So, I don't know. It seems like everybody's kind of got their cause, which is a good thing. I've got mine, and I don't know. I kind of wondered, what are you passionate about? As far as a cause goes for helping humanity or the earth, or.
I'm a person that thinks that one thing that's going to help humanity is actually talking about the issues we have. I mean, and that's just to be honest. I feel like we don't do enough talking to each other. We don't sit down and try to find some common ground and understanding. That's always been a big issue I think we've had in the United States or just around the world in general, whether it's religious wars or cultural backgrounds or whatever.
Like the regardless of the mechanism that's the divide or causes the divide, it's just there, right?
It's there and we don't talk about it. It's like all we do is sweep it under the rug. It's like somebody was upset because a friend of mine had posted something on Facebook earlier today, and I can't. I could like. He was just like he felt like why does everything always have to be like against white people for slavery or something like that? And I'm like, it's not really we're trying like for black people when we put the whole awareness on slavery and everything as us trying to make white people feel bad. We just want it to be noted. We want it to be understood. Like you got to realize our people have only been like free for like maybe 100 years plus, and even then, like you got to realize like the social society we live in, from redlining to Jim Crow and all that. And I don't feel like we've sat down and really had that conversation. And he was like upset because it's just like it wasn't me who did slavery, da da da. And I'm like, I'm not blaming you for doing life for slavery. I'm not blaming any white person for slavery in this generation. That generation has died and gone. The whole thing is we don't talk about it, we sweep it under the rug. And especially in American society. I mean, heck, even the Germans still like reflect on the Holocaust.
Absolutely.
Because they don't want the same thing to happen again in their country. That's why they reflect on the Holocaust. Like, it's required as a student in Germany, you have to go to Auschwitz for reflection. Like, because they don't want the new generation to go down the same path the old generation made. Yeah. So, it's always been important to me to have these table conversations. Like, that's one of the reasons why I started this podcast. Is because I want to have conversations, even conversations that don't make me uncomfortable, maybe the person that I'm talking to uncomfortable, but we talk about it. We have dialogue. That's why this policy on this podcast has always been anything on the table, anything on the menu.
I don't want to take you off your track there because I'm liking it and I'm loving it, but I feel like I might have a little bit of insight that you could probably relate to here or ask you, like, do you feel like that is, and I just had a classic brain fart moment. I had something really good there to relate to you on, and I forgot about it. But like essentially, do you think that most of it is like just a result of miscommunication, or do you think that it's a result of complacency? Because, like. Regardless of what kind of lifestyle you're living or where you're at in America, it's still the kind of place where you can go and be by yourself, or you can go and kind of dip off in your own world and you can be complacent. And I think technology is kind of, definitely adding to that,
Oh, it is.
Do you think that that's like, I mean, sure, it's probably a mix of both. I mean, I guess to what degree do you think it is each? Like, do you think it's more so a sense of just ignorance and miscommunication, or do you think it's more of this has to do with like this modern sense of technologically driven selfishness? And I'm just as guilty as the next person of it, so I don't want to sound like a hypocrite. I can say the same thing
because I'm always on my phone, like, because you know how I am with this podcast, man. I mean, it's like media in general. When you're trying to promote something or whatever, you're just kind of in your phone or on your computer doing. Sure. Because, I mean, that's what you do for Journey Pro and everything. You're sitting there promoting. Sometimes you're on there for hours.
21st century digital boy.
Exactly. Like, yeah. I mean, heck, you and I come from an age where we both know when there was no internet in every household to also the internet being in every household. We know we know that situation where, it was more about going outside, and we also came into the like journey of getting more advanced to where we all had cell phones at one point.
Yeah,
Like,
and it was pagers before that.
I mean, even if you had a pager, like it wasn't
It was
like
a cordless phone before that.
I mean,
the
yeah,
rotary,
like,
you
the
know,
car phone and stuff.
yeah,
I remember,
bag phone.
I remember my dad had a car phone back in the day.
My stepdad had one of those bag phones for work. He was like
gosh.
cruising around in like a 1974 Dodge, like puke green, like Dodge pickup truck with a camper shell with like one of the windows on it missing. But he had that fucking Nokia bag phone in that motherfucker, man.
Oh hell! So
My brother and I were like, "This is big time here."
That's some throwback shit. Cause like my dad had it in his Fiero. Yeah, my dad had a damn Fiero.
Had a Fiero, nice.
He had like this red Fiero. I remember this shit even like crazy. I don't even understand why he got that damn car when we had like he already had like 2 kids at the time.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, "Why the fuck did you buy this?"
Oh, I bet that was the source of some contention there, man. Like
he's in there buying a fucking Fiero.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was a mess.
I can take one of the kids with me somewhere, honey.
Like, yeah, it was usually me. But like my older sister at the time, she used to go back and forth because like it was because like my older sister was from a previous marriage.
Okay.
But still, just like my mom was even like, "What the fuck did you buy this? What are we gonna do? We can't do a family of 3."
Because just like every other man in America, he's got a big kid living inside of him.
Exactly. And so I was sitting on my mom's lap when we going out sometimes in the damn Fiero. I'm almost like the fucking Fiero.
Yeah.
It's like, motherfucker.
Not to mention they were dangerous as shit. They were like fire traps or whatever.
I mean, them motherfuckers, like, they didn't have no power steering in the motherfuckers.
All right.
So there was a lot of shit wrong with the Fiero. I think the Fiero is actually a cool design.
Oh yeah,
it was a cool ass design.
Aesthetically, it's a really cool deal, but like internally, like technically and all that, yeah, man.
It wasn't the safest car in the world.
No, not at all.
My dad was acting like a typical Floridian and wanted something to fly. But he was like he even told me like when I bought the Fiero, man, I was trying to stun these hoes. Like that's exactly what he said to me like 2 years ago. I kid you not.
That's funny.
Like, I was like, because I asked him, I was like, because like, me and him like 2 years ago, like kind of talked, and I was like, Dad, that's one question I always had to ask. Why the hell did we have the Fiero? And he was just like, well, you see, your daddy, was, pretty good looking back in his day. He still thinks he's fucking good looking.
All right.
But at the same time, so... I used to take you with me, and man, we used to go to some of these girls. I was like, "You're a fucking hoe."
Yeah, no, dude, that's like a classic like blueprint of like a 80s, 90s like movie trope of like the newly single dad. He gets the sports car, puts the cute son in it, and goes and cruises the chicks. Like, oh man, that's funny.
Okay, and we were living in Jacksonville. It was easy to cheat on somebody in Jacksonville. Fucking Jacksonville is so fucking huge.
Yeah.
It takes about 30 minutes just to get to one side. It takes 30 minutes to get to this side. It takes an hour to get to this side and all the traffic and shit.
Yeah, you don't really think about like the size of Jacksonville because there's some other larger cities in Florida like Miami and Tampa, I guess. But like that's a good sized fucking city. Orlando's a good sized city. Like
like Jacksonville's one of the biggest cities in the United States.
Yeah.
And then all the military wise and all that type of shit and all that.
Yeah, that's right.
So like, Dad decided, this is Baskin Robbins.
Dad decided to use it or lose it, right?
I mean, okay, let me put it like this. I'm one of 9.
Okay.
I'm 2 of my mom's kids.
Okay.
Okay, so there's me, my brother, mom's kids.
Yep.
Then there's other siblings. My youngest sibling is 5 going on 6.
Okay.
And apparently there's other ones, and apparently I got a brother who is Filipino.
Okay.
He went to Desert Storm, and then after Desert Storm, when the ground war ended, they ended up in the Philippines. He knocked up a chick and found out about it when he was working at the commissary in Jacksonville. And yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
Basically, it was a Filipino me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, to my brother who's in the Philippines somewhere, or with his mom and some GI that she married, Hi, bro.
Nice, dude.
Nah, but like back to the subject we were talking about. Yeah, like we'll talk about my daddy issues another time.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Oh man, I could probably see that bet and raise quite a bit. So
Yeah,
couldn't we all, right?
yeah. What man is not filled with daddy issues?
Sure.
In this day and age,
It's the epic
I have
power struggle of the father, son, grandfather, the patriarchal, cyclical struggle.
Tuesday stripper self-esteem.
There you go. There you go.
Damn. Now I just really thought about that. Sorry to all the strippers out there on Tuesday.
So I'm with you. Like you know, you gave a couple of examples there about like having the conversations and things to have the conversations about. But I'm picking up what you're putting down. You're a lot like me. Like you're a high level guy. Like you're a high level kind of top of the project kind of thinker to where it's like I've got this component, this component, this component, and I know that this person is good for this one, and so you like to kind of touch it all. Like you're not necessarily trying to tackle slavery and the aftermath or social justice or lack thereof, or you're not necessarily trying to tackle immigration, or you're not necessarily trying to tackle being born rich and having white people problems exclusively or anything like that. What's like you're touching them all. You're ready to talk to anyone about it. Okay.
That's basically it. Like
I like that, man. Like I dig that.
I mean, my focus is, for one, I don't care what's your color, creed, sexual orientation, or whatever. We can have that dialogue. I mean, my brother is openly gay.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I first started this podcast, he worked with me on this. Right now, he's on hiatus, so it's been me solo for like the last 15 episodes. Every once in a while, he'll come up or whatever. But like, we have had these talks. We talked about situations involving the LGBT. We've talked about stuff growing up black in the suburbs. We talked about it all. Yeah. And yes, have we witnessed racism in our life? Yes. But I feel like our biggest problem besides racism is just classism. It's always been, I feel like it's been the biggest problem.
There you go. I agree.
Like, we do not look after other classes like we do the 1%. That's one of my biggest issues. That's the 1% always seems to kind of not get put into the context. Like they don't get put into the conversation.
They make all the rules.
Unfortunately, yes.
Literally. Yep.
So when you have so-and-so A who owns a World Bank or something like that, or so-and-so B who is living somewhere in Calabasas area in California, like, it feels like they're the most important people in the world.
Yeah.
But then when you got things like Flint is a good example.
Yeah. I
mean, Flint is still without clean water.
Yeah. Still. 2019.
Exactly.
Mid 2019.
This is almost 4 years now.
Yeah.
They still have no water.
4 years that they've been making a ruckus. About 5 that they've known about it, if I'm not mistaken. And who knows how long before that.
I mean, I don't understand as a countryman why that situation hasn't been taken care of. I will say this until they fix it. Like, there's no way we should even be like this. We're supposed to be a first world nation. But you look at Detroit, you look at Flint, you look at most of the inner cities in Michigan, you look at some of the cities in Cleveland, Ohio, you look at some of the cities, like a lot of these Midwest cities, even like parts of St. Louis, Kansas City, like.
And it's all in the shadow of the motor vehicle industry. Every single bit of that. St. Louis is very deeply connected to General Motors.
Yes.
Of course, Ohio is basically the non-Chicago and non-Detroit suburb of auto support and you name it, man. Like everything from the guys who designed the screws that go into the parts to the guys who design the robots and that make it, and all of it. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, it's like they just kind of used those people and then threw them away and was like, oh, fuck it, we can go to China and outsource and not to pay taxes.
Oh yeah,
And do this shit cheaper. That's why, like, for instance, I was a huge fan of Harley Davidson at one point.
yeah,
But then they said, fuck you to Kansas City and decided to pull their shit out
yeah.
and go to China. I'm like, you're supposed to be the American-made, like, muscle bike. Yeah. But then you decided, okay, I'm going to flip the fucking script and take my shit to China. Like, after all the braggadocious, like, statements you have made about your parts and who you are and what your legacy is.
And that was like coming from a big push, if I'm not mistaken, of trying to reinvigorate and rebuild trust in their brand after they had a subpar manufacturing performance, or whatever you want to call it, from doing something similar back in the day, like outsourcing to subpar.
I mean, with all the shit that's like gone up and down, even with their association with biker gangs and all that, they pull through and they still have faithful customers.
Yeah.
And yet they're like saying fuck you to the people that have like helped them get through all that.
Oh yeah.
I was like, you're one of them like few American companies that is just all American that's left. And I'm not saying that like I'm an all American. I'm not Jack Swagger.
American.
I'm not like Jack Swagger from like 2011 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, I know what you mean, man. And like, it's other industries it happened to early. Some it's happened to, and more recently, and others it hasn't happened to yet. But like, that's just a result of the only thing on the planet mattering is stock price.
That's what I'm saying.
That's it, and that's all that matters. That's literally all that matters to these people. Like to you, to me, to all of us, whether we want it to be that way or not. I feel like that's kind of the trap that we're in. Is like
the American dream has always been about getting rich.
Oh yeah, make no mistake.
I mean, that's just a simple analysis right there. That's why people come here. That's why a lot of people's ancestors.
Sure. That's why people come here, but unfortunately, not everyone who's born here had a choice in the matter.
No, like.
Or has a choice in the matter at all.
I mean, hell. I mean, you already know how it is. Like, the furthest I can go in my family lineage is maybe the early 1900s. Yeah. And it goes back to my great-grandfather's parents getting married. And then my great-grandfather, and then to the newer generation. My great-grandfather lived to be 96.
Oh, wow.
And so he saw the Depression. He saw them going through the First World War. He fought in World War II, fought in Korea, saw the Vietnam War, saw civil rights, saw all of it. The rise of the Black Panthers, the end of the Black Panthers, the Klan, like, having a huge, like, dominance in the South and most of the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, you can just go down the line of things that he has probably seen in 96 years of life. It used to be at one time, black people could only go to church and then go home. Or go to work and go home.
Yeah.
There was a special spot. He lived in Independence, Missouri. In those times, he grew up in Independence, Missouri. And there used to be this part called the Neck, which is where all the black people used to live.
Yeah.
It's now McCoy Park, but that area used to be nothing but like apartments and houses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But at one time, that was the black side of the area. I mean, I grew up in that part. Like the first couple of years, I moved to Missouri, and so you can see some of the old history of it being there. But it was like, I don't know anything further than that.
Yeah.
It's like, the only thing to do is get a DNA test. But to be quite honest, like, a lot of African Americans don't know where they're from. Like, there's a lot of people that know where they're from. They know, it's like my great-grandfather came here from Ellis Island, da-da-da-da. They were this, they were that, you know.
Yeah.
And then there's me who's like, oh, I'm black. I lived in America my whole life.
I could originate from one of 25 countries in a continent across the sea. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what the hell I am.
Yeah.
Like, I know there's probably some white folk in my genes, but that's about it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I know for a fact that we have some white people in our family, but that's about it. Like, it's just like for us, we're kind of like, in a way, we're like the men and women of no country in some way, even though we are part of this country.
Yeah. I know what you mean by that. I didn't, necessarily growing up until I became older and got a higher education, and of course went out into the world and was cultured as a result. But yeah,
Right. I mean,
to nowhere near the extent or depths or anything like that. Like I can like one of the areas that I think people of Caucasian descent, especially in areas like the Midwest, where there wasn't enough people who you weren't related to safely breed with for the first 100 years or so.
oh my God.
Here. Like we were like honestly, like on the East Coast, there was still like really strict unwritten rules about like interbreeding, like Germans and English or French and Spanish, or like they didn't do that, man. Like,
Oh, no.
America wasn't what it is now back then or anywhere near it. And so like in the Midwest, they didn't have that choice. It was either marry your second or third cousin and risk getting a toad child, or you step across a long time over in the home country enemy lines and you marry someone who was formerly the enemy. And so, like, someone like me, I mean, dude, I won't take the DNA test because I don't trust the companies not to get hacked and then have someone try to come up with some MacGyver-esque villain-type designer virus just for me because I'm so important, But in all seriousness, I just don't trust companies' data protection policies. But long story short, my mom, my grandparents, they've been getting them, and they've been getting surprised, finding out all kinds of stuff, like how their grandparents or great-grandparents didn't know what the hell they were talking about, and
Right.
so clearly a lot of us lost track of a lot of it, although we can trace it, if we want to, more thoroughly and further back. Like, what I'm trying to get at here is like, I mean, by the time you get to fast forward to me now, like, dude, I've got English, Irish, Scottish, Dutch, German, French, Iberian, which is like Southern Mediterranean, North African.
Jesus.
Yeah, bro. I mean, there's some Eastern Bloc blood, like, so I'm like I'm a legitimate mutt, a Heinz 57, and so growing up as a kid,
Yeah, because you're most of the UK, most of like Europe, and then
yeah, like you're some Eurasias, Iberia, North, which has a lot of they were North African and Southern European people were interbreeding for thousands of years before there was ever like wars over it or anything like that, or before there was ever a concept of like a Catholic Church or anything like that.
Right.
Like so yeah, and we all started in the same place anyways, as those of us who are educated know and understand.
yeah,
So,
I mean, we're all from Africa technically.
but the thing is though, is like growing up, even as late as like the 1980s and 90s as a kid, I remember a lot of my friends, like they were Italian or they were Irish or they were English or they were French.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Even in the Midwest where,
Yeah, like,
but a lot of those kids were transplants from the East or West Coast.
Yeah.
And when they like found out like that, and we're talking about white folks here, dude, like when they found out that you're a mutt or whatever, like they would like give you shit, or they'd be like, your family's not all Catholic people who go to this church and do this, like all of the 300 people in my family. It's like, no, man, like my family reunion, you're going to see people of all makes, models, and sizes and colors and whatever. Like, that's the way it's been out here for us for 150 years. Like,
I mean, sure, like here in Kansas City, there were neighborhoods. Like you got the Italian neighborhood, Little Italy, which used to be like northeast area. I mean, sure, you had the German side, like over there, like kind of closer to where you're getting closer to the state line and everything. You had the Irish part, which was Midtown and Westport and everything. Like,
yes, sir.
there used to be so many different communities here.
Oh,
now
yeah.
everybody's just kind of mixed up because everybody's fucking. That's
Yeah.
just, I mean, shoot, there was a point though, like, and I think it's still actually legal. When you were talking about interbreeding earlier, just like, you technically can marry your second cousin here in Missouri.
I think in a lot of states you can. Yeah.
And I'm like, no, thank you.
Well, I mean, yeah.
at the
yeah,
time,
dude. Like, it's like,
yeah.
oh man, if like I know there's a lot more entertaining and exciting things to do in this day and age, but if you go and look up like some pretty prolific laws in your state and when they were ratified or whatever, like I mean, it was legal for a man to forcefully rape his wife, whether they'd lived together or not, in the span of the last 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years or whatever. Mm-hmm. I mean, dude could straight up take a woman off the streets if he was legally married to her and force her to do whatever he wanted her to in the state of Missouri up until like 35 years ago.
That's fucked up, ain't it?
And like, yeah, like there's all kind of, like I started out as pre-law and found some things out and I was just like, holy shit, man. Like you hear sayings like rule of thumb. Like rule of thumb is a legal term from like less than 100 years ago.
Yep.
And what it means is a man can't beat the shit out of his wife with a stick that's any bigger than his thumb or his kids, his wife or his kids. So as long as that stick's no bigger than his thumb, he can beat him within an inch of their life and he's well within his rights.
Huh. Well, that's a hell of a stick.
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine, like, if you're dealing with, like, an Andre the Giant-sized dude? Like, if you were that dude's kid, like, you'd be screwed. Like,
fuck that.
You'd be getting like, he could go pull a Louisville Slugger-sized limb off of something. Gee.
Nope.
No, sir.
Thanks.
But on a lighter note, man, that's cool, man. Like, my cause...
Actually, we gotta take a break for a whole second.
Yeah, let's do that.
I'll be right back, okay? After these messages. Okay, I gotta stop saying that shit. Anyway. Okay. All right, so we're back. Sorry about that. Nature called, and you know, when you go through the wholesome experience of drinking 4 beverages in this 2-hour, almost 3-hour event, you're definitely gonna feel the effects later. So we're back. I don't know why I'm talking like this. Like I'm trying to seduce the audience.
Nice and smooth like the ladies, man.
I mean, sure. What's it name? Walter was calling me the Velveteen Dream.
The Velveteen Dream.
He was like, man, you sitting here trying to do the Velveteen Dream voice or something like that. What the heck's going on with you?
You do have a smooth ass voice, man. Absolutely.
Okay, my voice is not that smooth. It's all right. It's just another part.
It's flexible though. You can make it smooth if you want to, and not a lot of people can.
Smooth like caramel.
There you go, buddy.
Smooth like melted chocolate.
But yeah, before this dude makes me break out of here and go hit Dairy Queen drive-thru or something, man, talking about all these tasty desserts.
Delicious. Soft serve vanilla.
So what? Oh yeah, I remember what we were on. To tie that whole thing I was talking about there earlier. Yes. While I may, as a white American or a mostly Caucasian American, I in no way can I relate to having my people displaced from being stolen from their native land and sold into slavery, and then having to go through what you've gone through since. But I suppose what I was trying to say is like. I didn't have that strong lineage or background or heritage that a lot of people did and could easily trace and had the traditions and the lifestyles that came from it, which made it incredibly hard to relate to people.
Very true.
But on the other hand, and the silver lining, in my opinion, was that I wasn't bound to any of that. And then with having like step families who were from slightly different, white people, variations from Europe or whatever, different denominations of Protestant people, however you want to say it. Like, I got exposed to more, and even though it was all still of European descent or whatever, and largely the same sort of people, birds of a feather, right? Right, but I got a different look, and also it freed me up in a social sense. To where I wasn't one of those kids who, for whatever reason, thought that they could only legally hang out with other Irish kids or other English kids or other German kids. So I got, like, my friends, man, like we were all, most of us were mutts. A couple of them were, just Irish and English or whatever. But, like, the thing is we all came from similar families. And, like, we had Latino friends. We had black friends. Like, even in a small town, like, we were the dudes who pretty much hung out with everybody, and it was really like it, in some senses you could look at the people on the other side of the fence and be like, man, that'd be cool to be steeped in that kind of tradition or to have that kind of backstory or whatever. But at the same time, their lives are so like fabricated and planned out to a certain degree. And such a straight line, and if that's what you're into personality wise, that's cool. But I've known from a real young age that that's not me, and I'm glad that I didn't have a straight line kind of laid out for me in that sense, because I've got to go off the beaten path, if you will, socially,
Right.
and I've got to meet some really cool people. And you know, now where I'm at in life, it's like my group of friends, and even my family is becoming this way too. Like we're all different people from different backgrounds, different ethnicities,
Right.
different everything. We got all this stuff that by normal standards is so damn different, but we're all into the same shit. We laugh at the same stuff. We like the
Yep.
same stuff. We enjoy doing the same stuff, and we genuinely enjoy each other's company. We don't have to be around a bunch of people we don't like simply because they're just like us.
And that right there is a valid and understandable point that I wish that a lot of people understood. Like,
Same here.
it's like, for instance, like, I got white friends, but they're not wannabe black friends and nothing like that. They're white. They're white as all giddy up. Some of them have been on this podcast. They're probably some of the whitest people I know.
Yeah.
But I got love for them. I got friends from all over the place, from here to Korea, Japan. Like, one thing my mom has always told me, like, you should never look at somebody for where they come from or what they eat every day, or, like, when it comes down to it, they're just like me. They just live a different life. One of my best friends is German. Okay, so, like, it's like, for me, like, I've never had a problem with just, like, integrating myself in different cultures. That's one of the things, like I said, my mom raised my brother and I to keep an open mind on things, because we don't know how that person can be, something significant to your life later in the line. And I realized a lot of these people that I met over the years, I met some good, I met some bad, I met some ugly. I met people even in my own race that were terrible. So it's just like terrible people come in all different forms, all different colors.
Sure.
And there's good people in all different forms and all different colors as well. So one thing I'll never stop doing is, like, really, submersing myself in, like, different conversations or different cultures. Like, I got friends that are Muslim. I got friends that are Buddhists. I mean, I can go down the list, like Mormon, Judeo-Christian, Catholic. We can just, pretty much all the denominations that you think about it.
Sure.
I've had conversations with people in different denominations.
Because whether anyone likes it or not, we're all here.
Exactly.
And we've been here for a while, and yeah, it's not going to change.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I've had a conversation with a nun in a parking lot once.
Yeah.
And it kind of accidentally happened because, like, she was lost trying to find this church she was going to, and actually knew where she was going. There's that. And then I had a chat with a Hare Krishna man. I've had a chat with a Sikh. I've had a chat with a Buddhist. I've had
A chat with a what Christian band?
no, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you said Hare Christian, like a Christian hair metal band. I was
Hair
like,
metal band.
It's like, whoa, man. Like,
It was like, Jesus!
Like, DC Talk's gonna reinvent themselves into what they were originally, a rock group.
Oh, Lord. Oh, my gosh. But yeah, Hare Krishna, Buddhist, Muslim, hell, even a Satanist.
Yeah. Hey, man. I've walked a similar path, man, and like I've met some really interesting people, and like the thing is like none of it ever matches up the way that like your own or other people's assumptions that you've taken on will lead you to think. Like one of the really interesting, a couple of really interesting people I've met were like Wiccan.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know much about that.
Yeah.
And I'm a social sciences person, like I studied world religions and sociology, anthropology, psychology. Those were all my favorite courses, for the humanities in college and all that. And, yeah, but that's just something that just kind of was never on my radar, and it fascinated me, man. After I learned about it and had a few conversations with people, and really fascinating stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's to me, like, we're the real America. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Like,
this is supposed to be a place where you can have free thought, freedom of speech, and I feel like we've kind of just gone a whole different.
well, have we, or have we been led to believe by the media, who makes a lot of money from us believing that we're on the wrong path, or we're going different? Like,
I don't know.
mean,
Like, I feel like in a way it's kind of like a catch-22 because we can't say the same things like we did in the past, or we can't do the same things like we did in the past. But not with like cameras all over the place and in our faces. Like, you think about it,
surveillance state limits.
Because think about it, if we did the same shit we did when we were younger, man, it'd be all over the internet.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man.
Man, I'd be fucked. I know.
Oh, everyone would be. And yeah, we all would be. We would all be for sure. And that's all I'm going to say on that topic.
Me too.
But yeah, man,
Allegedly.
But yeah, I'm with you, man. And we could split hairs on this one, for the next year if we didn't need to sleep or anything like that. But dude, I wanted to talk to you too about another topic that's near and dear to me. That's a little more lighthearted. Video games.
Dude, don't get me started.
Oh, I am gonna get you started.
All I know is there's a few games that has caught my eye, and I'm a huge fighting game fanatic. I love wrestling games.
Nice.
Anything to do with MMA.
Nice.
I enjoy playing FIFA. I enjoy playing the game Paladins, which is pretty much, they call it the first version of Overwatch, and to be quite honest, I think Overwatch is dope too, so I like both. But I kind of like competitive games, so that's been my steez.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Did you guys, you and your brother, ever play any Madden growing up, or any?
I played Madden growing up, but like I went all the way to like 2000 and I say about 2005, and then I kind of stopped.
Okay.
Yeah, but like back in the day though, man, I used to be like a Madden fanatic too, because I like football. Football is one of my favorite sports.
It's fun.
It's like football, anything to do with contact, like martial arts or anything like that too.
Love the sport, love the players. Well, most of the players. Not a big fan of the league or its owners. I'm sure we could find a lot of common ground there.
Oh my God.
And just like any other fan out there, I'd really like to find these diehard, like, I don't care about anything but me and my love for the game fans that, like, I think subliminally or inadvertently, like some of the owners, like Trump's bros and those guys, try to say are out there. They're not out there, man. Like, I know dudes who are straight up conservative Republicans who are some of the most closed-minded people. I don't communicate with them often, but I know them or know of them, and they don't like the way those guys are being treated. You know what I mean?
They don't.
They don't care for it. So I mean, it's like, to me, it's kind of like the thing, like, is the country really worse off than it's ever been, or is that what we're being told by the media, whether directly or subliminally? Because if you look at the statistics for the FBI, which are reported by every single jurisdiction of every single police force, whether city, county, town, parish, territory, whatever, native, whatever, they report all their statistics to the FBI every year. They have to, or they lose their credibility for their police force, their policing jurisdiction. And every year since, I think, 1970, mid-70s, violent crime has gone down every year. Now, that's not to say that,
we still don't, like, you go per capita. Whatever.
Sure, per capita, yeah, exactly. But like, on a whole, in America, and I know that this isn't a large thing, and I'm devil's advocating here to a large degree, but, you know, less people are in poverty. Like, so, whether they're backed by left-wing or right-wing or centrist billionaires,
they're all in the same gang.
The media all gets more clicks, they all get more hits, they all get more views, and they all get more advertiser transactions from fear-based stories and negative stories than they do the positive ones.
Most of the time, there's always shock value to it.
Yeah.
So, like...
And professionally, I've worked in advertising and marketing and for a better part of a decade or more, so...
so you already know.
I've been on the front lines. I've seen it, man. Like, nasty stuff. Like, it's all about selling stuff to people, and that's it. That's the bottom line. And that's business. That's capitalism, but it's not. It's one kind of capitalism. Like capitalism, like the world is like the whole concept of yin and yang and everything in between, the shades of gray, man. Like that's the thing. These slick talking multimillionaire puppets of billionaires want to get out there with their quick little soundbite jabs, and their quick little, well, you say this, I'm going to say this real fast. And if it sounds good and it sounds cool, then people are going to believe it, And we as a society, we got to move past that, man. But that's
going to be us being free thinkers, though, and they don't want that.
Right. And so that's the thing, it's like being able to disprove, being able to share information, being able to trade information, like we do now. It's so much harder to pull off lies. It's so much harder to pull off scandals. It's so much harder to pull the wool over people's eyes. And these guys get that. And they know that the only way they're still going to transact business at the level that they've traditionally been transacting it and in the ways that they've been transacting it is by pumping up the fear dial.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, it's plain and simple, and maybe not, apples to apples, but I think we're still talking about fruit here. One of the concepts, psychological concepts, behavioral psychology concepts that I really enjoy is I forget the exact name of it, but it's like everything's worse when your life is bad and everything's better when your life is good.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the world could be burning around you, but if everything's going your way, you might not notice. And everything could be unicorns pissing rainbows with pots of gold, but if you're down in the dumps and you're in a bad way, you might not notice either.
True statement.
So it's like I guess like everything else, perspective.
I agree.
But the video gaming, man.
Back to I was going to say, back to the video gaming.
We get philosophical and digress, and I apologize to the audience.
Hey, man, this is a free flow conversation, man. Anything is on the table, on the menu.
I appreciate you, man. I appreciate the audience for sticking with us. I hope we're entertaining them to some degree.
Let's see. Ass. Okay. Oh, she's taking her top off. Okay, this ain't Howard Stern. Anyways. So, back to video games. So, like...
So you said you like the fighting games, the wrestling games, and MMA stuff. Like, like... based on what's been out there, what has been really good in the past, and like what's out there now, like what do you think's missing? Like what do you think? What would you like to see in that space?
What would I like to see in that space? Better stories, because I feel like people are half-assing stories these days. Like I think the last good story I saw was actually the new Mortal Kombat game, and even then people were still bitching about it. But we live in an age where everybody's entitled to their opinion.
Sure.
On things, whether it's like, hey, like I didn't like this ending because of blah 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 blah, or whatever. Like there was some controversy in Mortal Kombat 11 with the Jax ending in the story, because basically he stopped slavery from happening and a whole bunch of bad events to where the world ended up being world peace and looking like Wakanda all over the world.
Damn.
Like, it wasn't just black people. He was helping everybody out. Like, he was stopping wars. He was stopping this and this from happening. But people are just like, no, this is racist. I'm like,
jeez.
He basically caused world peace.
Yeah.
At the end of his story mode.
If that's not proof that there's no pleasing some people, I don't know what is.
That's what I was saying. I was just like, what the fuck? This was not even anything anti-white.
Jeez.
I mean, I could just go down the damn list. So better.
I trust me, man. Yeah, I know it's a joke. There are exceptions to every rule, of course, but it's like the old adage. Like it seems like the people that have the absolute most bitch the absolute most. And like they
just like
take things for granted. And it's terrible, man. It's like
let people enjoy shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna say this. Like, for instance, okay, there's people that like Game of Thrones, and there's people that don't like Game of Thrones.
Sure.
And I see it like this. Like, for instance, I'm not an avid watcher of Game of Thrones. But I'm not going to shit on somebody's good time if they are a Game of Thrones person.
Yeah.
I might catch it down the line one of these days because I've only seen 3 episodes of the show. I'm not saying I don't like where it's going or whatever like that. It's just I haven't had time to sit down and watch these shows. I mean, this is like the 7th or 8th season.
Well, it's a serious commitment, man. I mean,
yeah.
that's like watching The Wire or something.
Like really, or The Sopranos.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
yeah.
you gonna be taking some time out of your life, and right now I can't do that. So it's just like, for me, when it comes to the topic of Game of Thrones or whatever, just because I don't watch it doesn't mean I need to shit on somebody else's parade.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, for instance, I got friends that don't like superhero movies. I like superhero movies, but I can't be like, you're a piece of shit for not liking this or something like that.
Yeah.
And they know, don't be coming at me like, oh, you're so childish or something like that. They're just like, no, I enjoy a little bit of fantasy. Sometimes you need a little escapism in your life.
Sure. And then, like, at a higher level, and of course we're not necessarily, the people that we're indirectly talking about here in most cases aren't adults, but like once you grow up a little, man, like you realize it's like different strokes for different folks. I got nothing to gain from bashing on someone, and they got nothing to gain from bashing on me. It's like, it's like it's cheesy, man, but it's like the old adage, like if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it, because it's not going to result in anything good for you. If you do, like. Then, I mean, and like now, dude, you got a whole squad. Like the trolls kind of ran wild at first, but now you got whole organized squads of anti-troll type people who are, I mean, they're like doxing people, they're IP logging people, like they're straight up like showing the world who these people are behind the moniker. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like you go and if you want to have the time or the desire to follow any of those trails, 99.9% of the time it's some silly nerdy little suburban rich white kid who doesn't have any friends, at the end of the day, and probably got a mean dad or a mean stepdad who he hears talking a bunch of passive aggressive garbage all night long, and then he has to go and, like the parrots that children are, regurgitate that shit out on the internet.
I mean, pretty much.
It's a terrible thing, man. And
that's what
I mean, it's like the kids. It's like when we were kids. You got a mean dad or a stepdad or a big brother or uncle who beats the shit out of you or worse. And sooner or later, when you get stressed and you lose your shit, you're gonna start doing it to your neighbors or whoever. And it's a cycle.
It's a lash out
cycle, man.
I mean, so it's like, for me, like personally, I think people just need to let other people enjoy stuff,
right?
And just like move on. Like,
find something for you to enjoy. I think is like the first step in that. It's like anyone can dislike anything or hate anything. There's always has been, always will be things, but it's like to find something that you can truly enjoy. That is worth way more. Like what you get out of that is so much more valuable. Like,
I just want to be like, listen here, you fucks. Here's the thing. I understand that you are not accustomed to the things that I am. For instance, I'm a nerd. I'm a huge nerd. Hell, I'm 29 and I still love pro wrestling. Okay? I love pro wrestling. I like anime. I like watching bad sci-fi movies. I like pretty much a lot of nerdy shit. I read comic books still. I read manga. I have webtoons on my freaking phone. So that means I'm reading manga all the time when I can. I'm also watching Netflix. I'm watching the superhero shows. I like romantic comedies. I like drama, psychological thrillers, Japanese horror, Korean horror. I can go down the list of all the shit I like to do. I like the video game too. So it's not my fault that I have eclectic tastes, but I enjoy being not basic. So yeah.
I concur, sir.
So being a non-basic person like myself, I like to have a personality. I like to enjoy different things. I also like trying different foods. Sometimes, it's not about what it looks like on the outside. It's about what it tastes on the inside. And I'm going to let you know right now, I have tried some crazy-ass shit. So,
Speaking of the foods and stuff, like what, if I'm not mistaken, you like to cook just like I do, right?
Yes, sir, I do.
Yeah, you like to eat well, you got to cook well, right?
I mean, shoot. As big as I am, if I don't know how to cook, that's a damn shame for all big men.
Hey man, like unless you're born with a kitchen staff and a butler and all that, I don't care who you are. You want to eat well, you cook well, man. Because even moms and grandmas get tired. They get tired of that shit. So
I mean, my grandma taught me how to cook, so like that's always been important to me. To get better at cooking every time I cook. I just don't want to be able to make the same basic meal. I know how to make 50 million things, and I'm always open to trying.
And having that that multinational cuisine repertoire, man.
Yeah.
Like that'll pay dividends for you and anyone who's around you. Like, I mean, women and men alike, potential significant others, regardless of your orientation, are gonna love that if you know how to cook multiple, not just American, but
yeah. Like, I'm gonna let you know right now, though. I'm gonna realize in the dating game, it's hard.
I wouldn't even know how to do that shit now, man. It's all online now. Like I met my girl like right when all that kind of started up, and we got lucky in that sense. So
man, I tried the online dating thing. I'm not gonna lie, maybe I'm old fashioned, but I don't want to get catfish because this happened.
yeah, I mean that's kind of like the trolling thing. It's like, why? Like who is such a depraved, degenerate, myocephalous, cretinous bastard to do stuff like that?
I mean,
like,
sometimes it's because they don't have confidence in their own looks or something like that.
Oh, you know what? I'm thinking, like, I'm sorry. I shouldn't. I was casting a wide net there. I'm thinking of, like, the prankster catfish. Like
yeah, I mean, those people are fucked up. Don't get me wrong.
But there's a different category of, like, the person who may genuinely be interested in that person, but they feel that there's no way that they would have a chance as themselves, so they, like, kind of distort and disguise their true identity. Is that
exactly? And that's like one of those things where I'm just kind of like, I really don't really trust the internet in that aspect of, like, date or something like that, because you don't know who you're talking to behind the computer.
Sure.
In a lot of cases, I feel like I want something more organic, like, you know, the simple I met her at such and such, not I met her on Tinder. I mean, sometimes that works for people. That works for people like eHarmony and all that kind of stuff. I'm not dissing people that actually have met their significant other on there. I'm just saying for me, though, I feel like we're so influenced by technology, but sometimes I just want something natural to happen.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. Like working in and around and with technology, and like how pervasive it is in our everyday, not necessarily pervasive, but just prevalent, you know, just there. Like, yeah.
I mean, shoot.
But you know, at the same time, I can see the logic behind it, like from someone who's designed and developed some systems and stuff and some web properties and whatnot. Like I get it, you know. I mean, there's the algorithms that, you know, they basically get what used to be the 20 questions when you first meet someone at a bar or when you're out at a meat market or whatever you want to call it. Like, it basically takes like the first hour of, to put a finer point on it, it helps you avoid the first hour of, oh, we just spent an hour figuring out we have absolutely nothing in common and we never want to see each other again.
I mean, yes and no.
And so, but to me, like, I'm a bit old school myself too. Like, when it comes to everything, it's like, you know, I understand that sometimes, you know, you've got to, you got to shovel a lot of crap to get to some gold, and you know, I guess if you have time to do that, it's one thing. You know, it's not that big of a deal. But I think those come in really handy for super time pressed people, you know, or people who maybe aren't looking for like, maybe they're looking for more of a surface layer type of thing, you know, and so, you know, instead of going out to a bar and talking to 10 different people who don't like anime or comics or this or that or the other, like in our case or something like that, like, they're going to serve you up 10 who do, and you can choose from them, and then...
I mean, shoot.
I mean, that's kind of like the general gist of how it works, right?
I mean, I'll say this, like, yes, like, they can be helpful, especially for people that are not very good at being social in public environments. I will say that. So, I mean, I'm not demonizing it whatsoever. I don't know, for me, it's more of, I kind of like, I want to be able to have that physical connection. You know, I'm just like looking you in the eyes, you know, we're having an intimate moment, and be like, hey, this is who I am. You know, I can express myself more with the person being there. Okay. Than, you know, through like a message or a text.
Yeah.
So it's like, for me, I feel like that's important. Like,
the authenticity of the experience.
Oh yeah,
like,
face to face, eye to eye.
Okay, I can dig it.
No, I have made my attempts at that and been on some dates or whatever, doing that or whatever, but it seemed like we had nothing to talk about outside of the app. It's like you can only see so much of the person. You don't know if they're really as genuine as their photos or who they are, like, texting.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's kind of like well, yeah, I understand what this is supposed to do, but that is in a an environment where everyone's using it the way they're supposed to be using
Exactly.
it. I'm with you. Yeah.
Like sometimes people say things just to make the other person feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Like, but then you meet them and you're like, oh, we're completely opposite.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like I guess this wasn't the person I was supposed to talk to, whatever. Like, okay, well, it's been nice, but so like for me now, it's sort of like I'm just kind of going with the flow in life when it comes to finding a significant other. Yeah, because like, I mean, she's out there somewhere. I mean, come on, there's like trillions of people here, in the world. Who knows? Maybe my girlfriend is somewhere in Timbuktu somewhere.
Who knows, man?
Or some jungle chick that is cutting up an anaconda for her village. I don't know.
Hell yeah.
I mean, she was like, yeah, we're having anaconda for dinner. Oh, we had that last week. Yeah, but it's not like we're scarce on anaconda, so. It's like she's riding a deer, bro. I don't know.
Marry her and move her up to Florida. She'll just work on those pythons that people abandon out in the Everglades there.
Okay, first of all, I've had enough of Florida. I'm not moving back there again.
I couldn't resist the Florida joke. They're so prevalent these days. Like I think like a good like 5% of social media right now is dedicated solely and wholly to like showcasing and ripping on Florida weirdness and craziness.
I mean, heck, there's a podcast that literally is talking about Florida man stories.
Oh my god!
In other news, a Florida man ate off somebody's face.
It's always a Florida man. Florida. Yeah,
Florida
every
woman.
once in a while it's a Florida woman or a Florida child, or a Florida gator. But
it's like, okay, for the wildlife conservationists was eaten alive today. Yeah, so
and dude, there's some straight wild and ass stories coming out of there, man. There really is.
That's the Australia of America.
It is. It really is, man. It's the missing link or not necessarily the missing link. It's the throwback, the genetic throwback or whatever.
Yes.
Yep, it's where all the dinosaurs' ancestors decided to hang on for a few extra million years.
When you have a state reptile, that should be a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. When the alligator is your state reptile, that's a problem. Because that's a state reptile.
I always thought I love lizards. Not necessarily as much like pet wise as I do mammals, but like I really dig like iguanas and geckos and snakes.
Well, see, hey, that's the shit right there, though.
And of course, like I love gators and caiman and crocs too. Like I don't like want to be around like wild adult ones or anything, but like the ones in the shows and stuff and in aquariums, like man, so awesome. Like
oh yeah, that's cool to observe.
So cool.
Through a thick plate of glass.
Yeah, oh, exactly, man. Exactly.
I was like, I'm not going to go out there like Steve Irwin and go poke it with a stick. I love Steve Irwin. I ain't going out there to go wrestle with one in his habitat in the water. Shoot, Steve Irwin used to be like, oh, shoot. It's like, oh, crikey. Look at that. That is the dreaded black caiman. One of the most aggressive crocodiles in the Amazon. I'm going to go wrestle it.
Yeah, the first thing that comes into his mind.
You just see,
I'm gonna wrestle her.
I know. And then the crocodile's like, what is that? Huh? What? It's gone. And then you realize he dove up in the air. Crikey! What the hell's a crikey? Ah! Oh!
Right.
Oh! Who's got me? Who's grabbing me? Ah!
Dude, it's like the weirdest thing too. Like, how he went, man. Like he wrestled all those aggressive, like crazy, wild remnants of the dinos and never even took like a serious or near fatal injury, and then he's just swimming with stingrays and one of them moves and puts a stinger through him, man, and that's it.
I already kicked it with a smile on his face too, because he was just like, yeah, I shouldn't have scared him.
Yeah,
he felt bad for the stingray more than himself.
Yeah, it's just the type of dude he was. Like he's like a modern day incarnation of like Saint Francis, like the protector of the animals, man, and the
and because
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
for sure,
always. Like Peter tried to like throw a fade at him, and of course that didn't work out too well.
Right,
man. Peter got dragged.
Yeah, man. Like
fake ass conservationist.
You want to talk about an exercise in counterproductivity, but You know,
They just wanted to throw a fade at somebody because
publicity, man. They wanted to ride the tailcoats of that story and all that man's worked for and accomplished just to get themselves some extra clicks and some extra follows.
That's why I don't like Peter.
Yep.
Peter is just drama. Now his
Yeah.
kids are doing good things. His wife are doing good things. I saw a dude on
Yeah.
Mike Tyson's show, Hot Boxing, which is a podcast he does, and he had this dude that's pretty much called Black Tarzan on there. I think it's like Michael Holston or something like that was his name, and he said like the crocodile hunter is a zero. So like he's in there with exotic animals and messing with snakes and all that kind of stuff, like going out because he wants to protect the wild. Like he's like he's apparently, I think he was talking about going to Africa or something like that.
Yeah.
To help with the conservation areas and, you know, keep people aware about poaching and stuff like that. Because we need to protect these animals because these animals are what keep the ecosystem going. That's that whole circle of life thing really coming to life that we have really been ignoring.
The more pieces that we take out of the game, the further it'll crumble, man.
Like straight up. Like, for instance, I mean, shit, we're killing the bees.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you know that means no more honeys if we kill the bees. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, about 4 or 5 years after the bees are gone, 99% of humanity is going to go with it. That's mathematics. That's mathematics based on the laws of physics, nature, like distribution, pollination, agriculture, everything. Like, it's a big old long math problem that only Albert Einstein and a few other people's had the brains to do, but he did it, and that's what his result was.
Yeah, but for instance, in Tennessee, I guess, like, this guy had, like, kept a whole bunch of bees or whatever. He was a beekeeper. Some guy decided to burn down, like, his whole, like, beekeeping and stuff like that. I'm just like, okay, we barely got bees left.
Jeez, man.
And it's just like, why the fuck would you do that? Like, I don't know if it's because he was malicious or whatever. Like, I didn't really get to read the full story, but I knew enough to know that
Tell you what, man.
This guy's a fucking idiot.
Whoever's running against Trump in 2020, whoever gets the nod, like just run on one simple slogan, one simple campaign: neuter the mentally ill.
Oh my god, man! You know how many balls we had to cut, man? There'd be ball juices all over America.
We'd wipe out 2/3 of the world's population overnight.
Yeah, that's
easily.
what I'm saying. Like we had balls rolling down hills and stuff like that. It was like, yep, we're overfilling the ball bucket. We're gonna need another one.
Yeah, man.
I'm not even the smartest man in the world. I ain't gonna even sit here in front.
Yeah,
I'm actually kind of an idiot, but at the same time, it's just like whatever.
It's but no, I'm with you. Like I'm very much on the conserve, reuse, recycle, protect. Do what you have to do. Like,
I mean, we got 12 years to change shit.
Yeah, and regular people like us and 99% of the rest of the population who aren't like safari rangers or poacher punchers or poacher killers or hunters or whatever, like we can do our part like in different ways. We don't have to go out and martyr ourselves or be like big time like hardcore heroes. Like it starts like with the way you live your everyday life,
at home.
in my opinion. Yeah, it starts at home. Like if you don't have a recycling service in the Midwest, which a lot of places don't have because they don't have the city or the county infrastructure for, like get yourself a recycle bin, put it out in the garage, and take it to the recycle center once a month. You're probably going to drive by there sooner or later, or at least once a month anyhow. So, you don't have to go to great lengths, but at the same time, just maybe take a step back and think about like, hey, do I really need to be throwing away 5 or 6 or 10 gigantic coffee cups right into the trash every day of my life, or
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's simple things like that.
You can go get you a nice powder coated like drink cooler thing that'll keep your warm drink hot for like 10 hours, man.
Yes.
Forget that. And if you go to corporate joints who don't want to fill your cup or whatever, tell them to fuck off, man. Brew your own stuff.
I mean, hell, Starbucks does that shit, so it's just like,
yeah, if they'll do it,
I mean, hell, it shouldn't be that hard to like get your coffee filled over there. That's one thing, you want a frappuccino or something like that. Just don't litter.
Yeah, and that's the very top of the thing, man. Not littering. Like I remember I smoked cigarettes before I moved on to the vape, and disgusting habit. People don't ever try it. If you have it, terrible. But long and short of it is like, man, I remember like being places like at parks or like state areas, and like not many people, but some people are just like flicking cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
Down the Lake of the Ozarks, motherfucker just flipping a cigarette right into the water. I remember slapping a dude across the face for talking shit to me about telling him to dig his fucking cigarette out of the water, man. And, like, that's how serious I am about it. Like, I used to keep a freaking tube in my pocket when I went to, like, places where I didn't have a car or a home ashtray or whatever, or in a public place where they're provided. And I would, like, flick my butts out, and I would put my butts in that tube, and then whenever I saw a trash can, I'd dump the fucker out, man.
Now, I wish I could say I did, because I used to, like, smoke while I was driving and, flip the cigarette out or whatever.
Well, next to an interstate where there's not much going on but interstate stuff, that's one thing. And I don't condone it, and I'll admit that I've been guilty of that in the past, too, a couple of times.
Right.
But when you're in a protected wildlife area or in an agricultural area...
Okay, now, at that point, like... I usually would just ball it up and find a trash can for it later.
Yeah.
Like, we talking, like, public places. Like, I'm at the beach and I can't find an ashtray or some shit. Or I'm in the city and I can't find an ashtray. Okay.
Trash can.
Well, yeah, I'll just I'll just kick the coal off and
there you go.
Throw it away.
Yeah, and those like ideas and methods and all that, it translates to everything. Once you start thinking about being a little less, littering prone with your cigarette butts, you start thinking about other stuff, and you just start living your life a little different. It's kind of like switching your diet up. The first week or two it might be tough, you might fuck up, but after doing it for a month or so, it's second nature.
Very true.
So yeah, that's cool, man. Like I'm big on like protecting wetlands, wildlife, and also just like what's around us. Like just
and to all you folks out
keeping
here,
shit clean.
Yeah. To all you folks out here that like to hunt and stuff like that, you got to realize if we don't take care of nature, that means no more hunting or fishing.
Yeah. Well, the thing is like having a lot of friends who like to fish and hunt, and someone who grew up fishing and still enjoys fishing is like it's not a political issue for us.
Oh no, it's not.
And we're all different politically who enjoy those things, but man, it's certain. And I know you don't think that way or tried to insinuate it, but for the listeners who don't know, like man, it's not a political issue. So keeping the planet clean, conserving what we have, like making sure that us and other species can go on to procreate and live until we can do the smart thing and turn ourselves into a multi-planet race or species.
I mean,
which is going to be essential to our survival. Like until we can do that, like all we got's this. This is all we have, and we got to take care of it. It don't matter who you are, where you're from, what religion your parents force you to believe in, or kidding, of course. But it doesn't matter. None of that shit matters, man. Like,
you got to take care of the place that you live on, and this is home, and that's planet Earth.
Well said, my friend.
That's what I'm saying. And also. Another thing, to all you fools out there who still don't understand, go do some research. Go get educated. I mean, heck, even the cannabis places are coming up with ways to basically grow miracles. Like, for instance, I was reading an article on a lollipop that once you're done with the lollipop, you can take the stick, implant it, and get a batch of weed. That's some eco-friendly shit right there for stoners.
Yeah, buddy.
All you gotta do is add water and help it grow. And that's for people that enjoy the pharmaceuticals known as cannabis. So now you know. Eco-friendly even goes around for even cannabis companies. So with that, you have an idea what you can do. Grow nature. Don't destroy it.
Yeah, buddy. I like it. Yeah, there's, on that note, like there's has been a lot of awareness for a while, and there's like, I'm sure you've seen them, a lot of cool products out there and a lot of cool like changes to the way we make products that we've traditionally made, and all kinds of cool stuff like that. Like I saw a similar concept to that, to where a guy who owned a dispensary out in Colorado had business cards that had that were biodegradable and had seeds in them.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And there's like, I forget the exact application, but they do that for like kids on Earth Day and Arbor Day and science and stuff in schools now, is they like have little, like they'll hand them like a sheet with information that they go and they just kind of bury it in their yard. It has different kinds of flowers or veggies or whatever, seeds built into the page or whatever. And
that's really cool.
Yeah, there's some amazing stuff going on. Like mushrooms and mycology and stuff like that is like really being found to be like applicable to everyday needs in life in myriad ways, and it's like one of the lowest carbon outputs. Like growing mushrooms, fungus is like one of the lowest carbon outputs versus what we could get out of it. Like, I mean, we could make furniture, car parts and panels, like all sorts of different things.
Yeah, we can. I mean, heck, people don't understand how important the source of hemp is.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We need like a 10-part, 3-hour per episode series to cover even half of that, man.
I mean, seriously, like, people don't understand, like, the whole prohibition thing happened for marijuana is because of the fact that it was going to kill other businesses, big businesses.
Its cousin hemp was gonna,
it was gonna destroy everything from cotton to everything else. Like, I'm talking about,
there'd be no logging industry.
There'd be no logging industry. There'd be no, like, certain industries in farming. There wouldn't be any oil industries. None of that. Like, seriously, this shit was powering cars. It was powering a clean lifestyle and shit. And I think we need to get on it now.
It's amazing. It's an amazing plant. Even though it lacks the medicinal qualities of its cousin cannabis, it is, as far as like industrial applications and medicinal applications, are completely different and unique on the the hemp, and it's hemp hearts. Like, have you ever eaten hemp hearts?
Actually, yes.
Like, you can buy like a bag of them on Amazon or go to Costco or whatever. So they got like the organic hemp hearts. Like, those things have everything we need in them to survive, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on this, but I've read from a couple of different sources that hemp hearts, a human being could survive on hemp hearts and water.
I should tell you something.
It's got like all the amino. Sorry, to interrupt you there, but it's got like all the amino chains, vitamins, It's got like all that. It's amazing.
True. I mean, it's a miracle plant, and people don't understand what it can do for the human body itself. Like, you don't gotta see hemp as like, oh, it's just, you're gonna get high, blah blah blah. Like, no, you don't get high from hemp, and they do have healing qualities. That's why they have CBD oils and things of that nature. Because when it comes down to it, the CBD oils can help with inflammation. It can help with people that have problems eating, all types of different things. Just from the
bone
CBD,
and joint pain, muscle pain,
all of that. I mean, you're a good example.
Anxiety, stress.
Yeah, you're a good example of that, because like you enjoy the cannabinoids and all that kind of stuff, like to help with you to get through your day to day, because you have previous injuries from different things.
Absolutely. Without some help from the CBD, I mean, there's times where I feel like I could, pull a mountain out of the ground, and then there's others that I feel like I can hardly walk, and that's just that's on me a lot, because I've got a couple of discs that are bulged, if you will, and one near herniated in my lumbar on my spine. So that's no joke, man. That happened when I was like 20 years old, and there's nothing more lame than being like in your late 20s and not being able to go out on a Saturday night because you can hardly walk because your back's fucked. Getting serious about like keeping my core strong is one thing, but just to be able to manage that pain without like opioid level prescriptions. Yeah, the CBD oil stuff's essential, like the tinctures, and
but Big Pharma don't like that shit.
Oh, hell no, they don't. Hell no, they don't have the infrastructure set up to take over that industry.
No, they don't. And if they did, it'd probably be a fucked up industry.
Yeah, they'd fuck it up beyond belief. But
that's what I'm saying. I hope they don't really get into it, to be honest. I hope they just kind of fade away a little bit.
It's going to be interesting to see what kind of a role they play, because the corporations own the lobbyists who own the elected officials of our government, as most of us now know and fully understand and comprehend. So, I mean, the government it's cool that we got state governments legalizing, and we've had some administrations recently who differ in their views and opinions on federal declassification and decriminalization, and then eventually legalization. I mean, that's all cool, but we also have to understand that red, blue, or any other color doesn't matter. Whoever's in charge of the government never does anything because it's good for the people. They do it because it aligns with a business cause.
Oh yeah.
And there's no emotion to that. It's not an emotional. It's not a. They do it because it's nice or it's mean or it's bad or it's good or it's sad or it's glad. It has nothing to do with that.
I mean,
the government is a business, just like anything else.
I mean, think about it from the WWE perspective. It's what's good for business, sort of like what Triple H and Stephanie McMahon say when they're playing their heel characters. Like,
Yep.
it was what's good for business. So and so's champion. That's what's good for business. Like, that goes with the same aspect of what's good for business when you're the U.S. government or any type of government. It's like, what is going to help us capitalize and make sure that we stay above ground so we don't end up in debt?
Yep. Exactly.
Right now, cannabis is kind of that answer. I mean, look at what it's doing for Colorado, Oregon, Washington. I mean, heck, I already know it's going to do well in California.
And one thing that's not being publicized or being touched on much, and I don't know why, but is take a look at the opioid abuse and addiction and problems in those states.
Oh my gosh!
It's almost near non-existent.
It's an epidemic right now, and it's here in Missouri.
In non-cannabis legal states, it absolutely is. But you go to a legal cannabis state like Colorado or somewhere, they have a fraction of the opioid crisis that we've dealt with in non-legal states. Go do that research, kids. It's out there. Go do it.
You gotta be careful with those opioids, man. Like
that family that was were the architects behind that whole deal. Like you've seen, they're getting their comeuppance finally. Like they're starting to be prosecuted and getting hit for like multiple millions of dollars. And the Mercer family or whoever they were, those scumbags, the architects of that whole
one of the many scumbags.
Yeah.
Behind closed doors. Yeah. But only time will tell when we get to that point. Yep. I mean, when it comes down to it, they knew what they were doing, but they knew they were good at it.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I mean, it was part of this is something that you probably won't ever hear about unless you look for it, but I'm fully convinced. I mean, me and millions of other people, billions across the planet. I mean, we went to Vietnam to secure control of the opioid trade.
Mm-hmm.
We went to Afghanistan to secure control of the opioid trade.
Oh yeah, that's where all the
make no mistake.
That's
where
all the
where all the poppy is.
Yeah,
Afghanistan has got the biggest natural poppy region in the world, and they've also got the second largest amount of rare jewels and earth materials next to China too.
Yep.
And if people think we're leaving there anytime soon, whether the military's got a single boot on the ground or not, they're kidding.
It's dollar signs right now. That's how you getting money. Why do you think you got all these Saudi Arabian tycoons and stuff, or anybody from the UAE? A lot of them are making money from this biz. So it's like America's like, shoot, I'm trying to get a cut of that shit. It's like, let me in. I'm going to blast my way in.
Yeah.
Shoot,
messed up. We got to do better. Got to do different.
Yeah, but shoot, we run off of military and prison systems. It's a cash cow. Like when it comes down to it. Shoot, the military running has work to go. Shoot, that's money right there.
Military-industrial complex calls all the shots.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, shit, the Pentagon's got like a multi-billion-dollar accounting deal right now that they don't know, or I think it's like maybe close to $1 trillion. The Pentagon seriously has lost all account of $1 trillion worth of fucking taxpayer dollars.
Wouldn't surprise me if someone put their hands in the cookie jar.
How? Yeah. Oh, of course. I mean, we're not getting the whole story, but I mean, how in the fuck, man? So once again, this is another topic we could split hairs on all damn day, but
I mean, we'd be here all damn day. We talked about the government. We talked about all this.
Sure.
So, on the next note, I am gonna say that I am hungry as all giddy up.
I am with you, man, and. That food's smelling good, and I just whipped up some tastiness in my Instant Pot, and I'm going to use my air fryer to slam out some chicken that I've had marinating. Love both devices, man. Like air fryer, Instant Pot helps me eat healthier, tastier, quicker. Like I love being able to just smash French fries or tots or whatever and not having to use a drop of oil.
That's awesome.
Air fryer's badass for that. I can make like my own curries, and I make my own Indian food and like stews and stuff like that in the Instant Pot. It's pretty sweet, man. Technology in the kitchen's getting pretty fucking awesome.
Oh yeah, I mean, as simple as 1, 2, 3, forget about it.
Yes, sir. That's the way I like it.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Well, thanks so much for having me on here, and
Yes.
thanks again to your audience who's stuck with us to the end here, man. You guys are awesome. Appreciate you. If you want to come check us out for some good local wrestling, check us out journeyprokc.com. Show next week.
And also, you can follow them at Journey Pro KC on Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah.
And then you can also follow Kent at Dirk Dabbler.
Dirk Dabbler TV.
Dirk Dabbler TV. That's DIRKDABBLER.TV.
Or just the whole thing, just TV. Like.
Oh, is it just TV?
Yeah.
Well, I'm
my
sorry.
email address might be dot, but yeah.
Okay, but anyways, so Dirk Dabbler TV. Follow him. Subscribe to any interesting things that he says because it's been a very entertaining Twitter. Like I've been like
I try to touch a lot, you know.
Yeah, because man, I've been tweeting back and forth with him like for the last month.
Yeah, we've been having some fun, man. We've been having some fun for sure. I'm gonna start maybe putting out some really cool and interesting type of stuff here in a couple months. I can't really talk about it right now, but I may or may not know somebody who's working up a badass idea for a wrestling video game. So
okay, you gotta talk to me about that.
I plan on it, sir. I plan on it. So
yeah, because sir, I'm gonna need some information on this.
Yeah, boy.
Because you already know if it's what I think it's gonna be, I'm gonna need a hot copy of that when it comes out.
Shit, yeah, man. Shit, yeah, and so come check us out again next time around. I'll be looking forward to checking it out, and hopefully listeners come back and get to hear about this because I'm dying to talk about it. I just have to dot a few I's and cross a few T's, and then we can start.
Facts.
Yeah, we can start getting to it.
So with that, you can follow me on Delivery Bros 816 at Instagram. You can find me on Twitter, the same tag. I'm also on Delivery Bros KC on Facebook, and then last but not least, we've talked about a lot of things today, and I hope some of it makes you reflect on the world you live in. I mean, I'm not saying that we're the end all be all when it comes to our ideals. When it comes down to it, it's an open conversation, and we would love for you to comment and tell us how you feel. Feel free to comment, follow us, like us, for us, buy us. I'm just playing. I was trying to make a funny reference. But for real though, like, never be afraid to open the conversation, open the doors, even to stuff that may make you uncomfortable. That's basically how you gain more understanding of the world surrounding. It isn't like some conspiracy type of thing. It's just being open-minded to learning things and figuring out other ways to having a quality life. So with that, this has been Anthony Anthem, a.k.a. Black Fabio, a.k.a. the Midnight Marauder, a.k.a. your future stepdaddy, a.k.a. Probably dating somebody's daughter. I'm just kidding. So with that, I am out of here.